One. Okay. Just like to welcome everybody to the City Council Finance Meeting, and we'll be conducting reviewing the budget all night tonight. So the budget meeting the entire night.
There's a decrease of 2 positions, one to HR and one to public facilities. It maintains the complement of officers. There's an increase in police class salaries, a requirement of the law. There's a reduction in vacancy with the new classes coming on board and an increase in UOM. There are 3 capital requests associated with the police, primarily Faro Excellency Mapping System and 13 road maintenance and small
graduating class coming up in the end of June, and do we have another class scheduled, Chief? Or
to the chair, right now they would have to do backgrounds, and whenever that starts, it usually takes 6 months. So hopefully by February.
it's a 26-week process once the class starts. I mean,
To the chair, that's correct.
okay, and hopefully, do we have a budget for so many people this class? So I know you're down 60, we'll say 64, 68 police officers. And you have class coming out. More retirees, so you can be back in the 60s probably by the end of the year, I would think. But
To the chair, the minimum impact is 26 vacancies right now. Once this class comes out on the 24th, we'll be down 41 with long-term disability and military deployments.
and what are you looking for the put on for the next class? Do you know?
To the chair, hopefully 44 fill it up.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. Anybody else? Council Toomey?
Thank you, Mr. Chair. First of all, I just want to say thank you for all of the hard work that you and the men and women of the Worcester Police Department, both civilian and our sworn officers, have done to keep Worcester safe. It's amazing the amount of calls you go on, the events that you deal with, and the incredible job that you've done in very difficult situations. And you all deserve yeoman's huge applause for keeping Worcester safe. It's a, as the mayor says, it's a very safe community. I do know that there's been questions about ShotSpotter, and we now also have our body-worn camera system. And I was just wondering if you could just talk about the benefits of those.
Through the
Chief.
chair, let me find my notes here. We could tell you we've had ShotSpotter for approximately 10 years. And within that time, it's
How about
been
now?
beneficial to us.
How about now?
We're live. All right. We're live. All right. Okay, cool. We're in. Budget, bingo budget sheet in the chat.
Just for
I got signed out
reference,
of stream
in
there.
2023, we collected 1,246 shell casings. Now, when you look at that number, and that's 177 incidents.
In the
So
document that Travis has
there were
shared,
117
you can,
shot spotter alerts,
Yes,
116, that yielded 997 casings. And
and if not,
the importance of that is we then take those shell casings, and each firearm leaves a mark on a casing. Matter of fact, I don't. Leaves a mark on a casing.
Travis, can
This
you
is a
send
9mm
the
shell casing.
link
The
to
markings
to the
left
stream?
on it from the firing pin is like a fingerprint on the weapon. So we can take that and then we can
via email?
put that through the system with the ATF and the state police, and we can correlate gun crimes. And when we look at that, we have a lot of different areas. So we did 96 separate NIBIN, or National Integrated Ballistic Information Network, lead cases. In order to have a NIBIN case, that gun has to be responsible for firing more than 2 crime scenes. We had one case with a firearm recovered and tested. The casings were connected to 9 different incidents. We also had several with 5 or more connected shootings or gunfire. A lot of these casings.
Well, this is
are
interesting.
being
Thanks for
traced
rolling with
through
us,
those
y'all.
weapons to, so far in 23, Watertown, Webster, Providence, Cambridge, Southbridge, Boston, and that's just to name a few.
Sarah, you
So it's
put it up
very
at the shooting
important that
range.
We
You shoot
have
at
the
it.
ability to collect this evidence and analyze it. It's all forensic now. Again, it's like a fingerprint. If you don't have that, and I can give you another case on that where one of our shootings was connected to a homicide in Boston. It was traced to a high-profile shooting here. And that there was an arrest made in that, and a lot of that has to do because of analyzing this type of evidence. I'm sorry.
No, go ahead, keep going. It's good.
The other important thing to realize is a lot of times we'll get no calls, and I don't want to, I don't want to traumatize anyone, but I'm going to play one alert, and you guys can hear what it actually sounds like and
So-
what happened in this case.
Bingo terms include ShotSpotter saves lives, forecast crime,
So that's
K2 me saying.
That's a switch that's placed on a weapon that converts it into basically a machine gun. And when you have that kind of firepower out there, anytime you get a gun, so it's not a machine gun per se, but you can turn every handgun into a machine gun. And it's not just the machine guns that are causing the damage. That one case right there, that happened last month, we were able to recover, I believe, 9 shell casings. Nobody called the police until after 11 minutes. And I feel the reason they called after 11 minutes, because now they finally saw the police out there. When the police are not in an area, when there's a shooting, that's probably the most traumatic thing you can encounter as a family in your home, to have gunshots around your house. That person called 10 to 11 minutes later and gave us a lead on where that vehicle was going. The other importance of this is Friday night, the guys in the Crime Gun Intelligence Unit were on patrol in Green Hill Park. They went there specifically because within the last 12 months, there was over 10 shooting incidents in that area. So they're up there on patrol. They see a vehicle trespassing after hours, expired plate. They stop the vehicle. They end up arresting a 16-year-old with a ghost gun, high-capacity ghost gun. Now, If they didn't have that information, they may not have been up there patrolling at that hour. So a lot of people talk about this and they say, oh, well, how many arrests? Well, it's not really the arrests. Although in 23, we had 12 arrests and I believe we recovered 8 firearms.
I feel like Bergman
Just
mentioning
due
his
to that
lawyer
system.
is like the center shot.
The key to this is
Yeah.
you get on scene quickly
Notice
within
too,
a minute,
Free
where
space
sometimes
here
you
was
may not
diligent
even
investigation.
get a call.
Because
Every single officer is
everyone
certified
gets stuff.
as a emergency responder. They all carry quick clot, which is actually a gauze that you stick in wounds
The
to
nail gun.
stop the bleeding. And they also
Interesting role.
carry tourniquets, and they apply them all the time. That's what keeps your homicide rate down. Because the difference between a homicide and a non-fatal shooting is shot placement, where the person
I
gets
believe you.
shot and how quick medical aid
Does it set
can
off
get
an
to that
alarm?
person. And the last thing is,
Yeah,
every
I
single
just-
person in this city
Yeah,
should
it was
have
just like an indicator. You don't hear it from the
comfort
street.
knowing that the police are going to show up when they hear gunshots in their house. And if
Before
not
it
for
goes like
this,
confetti.
the rate
Oh,
is
we got another one.
80%, 85%, people don't call the police.
All right,
And
so for those
that's
of you
very
doing
true.
bingo, feel free
And
to
we
cross
see it
off
all the
shot
time with
spotter
our calls for
safe
service, so I think it's a good product. If there's something out there better,
Oh,
let me know. I'll try to get that as well.
So it's my understanding that the other cities similar to our size here in Massachusetts, they all have committed to keeping ShotSpotter, or at least Boston has, I know.
Through the chair of the council, that's correct. I was at a Project Safe Neighborhood meeting 2 weeks ago in Boston, and
Shot spotters.
the
saves
Boston
lives.
police were there. They
Reception.
are going through with
Yeah.
their contract again.
Shot spotter saves.
And the other 9
We'll
departments,
count it. It wasn't exactly.
everybody was again speaking highly of, and if they did not have
Close enough for
the
government.
problems they would encounter, because you would not know where these shots are coming from.
Right, right. And even with that, sometimes it's my understanding, sometimes it's difficult to actually find the casings. They're not always easy. They're not like right immediately visible, right?
Through the chair of the council, when you
he
go to
wearing
one of these
large
calls,
black
there's a dot on a
sticker?
map, and it's 25 meters.
Maybe it's a.
So you're looking for this
Shirt.
within 25 meters. That's basically like walking from the sideline of a football field to the
All right,
50-yard
Robus saw it
or to
too.
the center of the field. At night with a flashlight,
almost like a
trying to
sense
find this
bar.
in grass is very difficult. Just because they did not find evidence does not mean nothing occurred. It's an audio, and it's very clear when
Struggling.
the officer is actually
I feel you.
I need a better laptop than this.
listening to this
Again,
as
I
they're going
100%
to.
agree. But if
to
we get
the
into this,
call.
well, it's my perfect excuse to start clearing up.
They know
Yeah,
they're
George
going to
Seption, Bill
something
gets all the
that's real.
credit. He texted us
And
sometime late this morning.
That's
And he's like, I'm going to do
important
this.
because you get
And then just
situational
freaking did it.
awareness. We have
did it
policies in
30 times
place
over?
where a supervisor goes to the
No,
scene,
it all.
always 2 officers.
Take your credit
and the
for
only
it.
person
You
who
found
can
the thing.
clear that scene is a sergeant.
It's my understanding also that isn't there some type of gun that
Yeah, that's
not
exactly
have
what that is.
casings?
I bet she did wear her
Right.
police union shirt.
Through the chair, I'm sorry, can you repeat that?
Is there a gun that won't leave casings, shell casings?
Through the chair of the council, that's correct. If you have a revolver, the casings stay within the weapon.
Okay, that's good to know. But I think it's important
Oh, my
to
audio
note
dropped
that
off a little bit of-
it was important for you to describe the depth and breadth of the area that you have to actually look at for those
Anyone
casings.
trying
And
to
so
edit the
certainly in an
document,
area where
cannot
you're trying to get
Give you access.
evidence as well as, find out where the person is or persons are, I think it's important that people realize that. Just out of curiosity, would
His audio
a,
is probably quiet. He's far away from the mic.
metal detector assist
Oh,
in that, or is it not that type of metal that gets picked up?
Through the chair of the council, yes,
Oh,
our
right.
crime scene unit does have metal detectors.
Does that sound better?
We also deploy explosive detection canines to these calls to assist us in trying to find any evidence.
Oh, that's great. That's good to know that. And I think the other thing I mentioned.
Brian
was
saying
the,
swallow that thing.
Body cams, how
Sounds like
that's
he's
been
coming through another
helpful
mic.
over the past year.
Through the chair of the council, I think it's been very beneficial.
Say something into yours.
When you look at some of our stats.
the right mic.
As far
That's the right
as
mic? Okay.
our complaint process
I
with
don't know.
WAPs. I believe last year we went on 170,000 calls. We had 22 complaints. Of those
That's better.
complaints,
Okay, cool.
Thanks,
4
Neil.
of them were alleging excessive force.
This is Brian's
So,
colorful toy.
100
I don't
and
really know what I'm doing.
almost
So I'm just
200,000
looking at things until it
calls.
works.
You have 4
Thanks for the
complaints.
assistance. Chat.
We actually had around 55 alleged complaints, with those 22 ending up resolved in either a sustained or not sustained case. And a lot of times what happens is we'll bring the person in and they'll give their perception of the event, and then we'll let them, and I'm talking about the person complaining, we'll let them look at the camera.
Bill's
And
book club does
a
rule.
lot of times once they know that we are actually wearing a camera,
When I pull this up
That
on Twitch, I
complaint
can't see the comment.
goes away because the person doesn't want to file it anymore.
Mhm.
So a lot of
Here.
times, complaints are out there and they do get adjusted. And not only is the camera beneficial complaint-wise, I think the most important benefit is training-wise. The officers can review how they responded to a scene. Their supervisors can review it. We do automatic audits where the supervisors will pull 10 to 20 pieces of evidence and just look at it. And if we see something the officer's doing wrong, we can correct it then. We may not have never known. And the officer himself or herself may not have known about it either. Because you're so focused when you're at a call, you may not know that you've turned your body a certain way or whatever. So tactically, it's very important.
Speaking of equipment, I know last year we had an issue with the cars, getting them from the manufacturer. We resolved our fleet maintenance, our fleet issue.
You can't access the sheet.
Through the
Just
chair,
copy the link
I
to
don't
the
know.
council.
I believe we're getting 14 marked vehicles this year.
14. And how does that fit our plan?
Through the chair of the council, we actually asked for 15 unmarked and 19 marked.
Okay.
So we're getting 14 marked total.
And why not? Was there a rationale for not getting the unmarked cars? Or?
It says anyone would think can have access.
Through the chair of the council, that's just the way the budget went.
No
Okay.
editing access.
It's the way the
We should
cookie
be able to
crumbles?
just put the
Is
link.
that what it is?
Right.
All right. So the other thing
Sure, I'll-
that I'm a little concerned about is the reduction
God, Kate,
and
tell me
fuel.
so stupid.
I noticed that there was a $22,000 difference. I'm not seeing gas prices go up, so, and go down.
Through the chair, we built that off actuals, so
Okay.
it reflects what we anticipate will be needed in FY '25.
Okay. I do notice that the maintenance for vehicles went up almost 50,000, so I'm assuming that's because of the age of the existing fleet.
Through the chair, well, exactly. This is a year we went through very carefully for each of the OM items to try to match what we saw
Oh, this is
actually
super
happening in
choppy.
prior years. And so that's
Choppy.
one where we saw more maintenance needs than we had actually budgeted for in the past.
And then we know that we've had a great many needs for
This
the
is our
building
chair of
itself.
public safety, everyone.
And, I'm just concerned that we continue to keep that in serviceable order. For
Sally,
the
I
health
texted you a
and
link.
welfare of the men and women in that building, so I think that's important too. And then the other thing that I was interested in the budget, it says gang investigation overtime, and then in the recommended amount, it said that there wasn't any recommended amount, as well as community impact crime watch overtime. What happened with those?
Through the chair, this year we the categories were updated to more accurately describe the overtime spending. In the past, the categories we had been using are a bit outdated. So, for example, the gang investigation and vice overtime are now captured within investigative overtime.
Okay,
The community impact crime watch overtime, some of that is been broken down by the quality of life team, the parades and
Okay.
festivals, various different categories that more accurately describe.
okay. And I'm assuming the same with the SWAT training overtime?
Right. The SWAT training overtime is now specialized teams training.
And
which-
vice, right? So
Which
that's,
is, I'm
okay.
sorry, it's also the hostage negotiator training.
Okay.
And, I'm sorry, what were you?
okay. And, okay. The other thing that I did want to touch
Kate trying to pretend she
on
knows.
was, is the mayor asked about the class. You think that we're going to get
Have you got
roughly
some sort of
40 something for the next
water
class?
vendor in here?
Yeah. There's seltzer and there's.
Through the chair of the council, we can hold 44 in our class.
I could just fill it up.
So that's what we're hoping for. As I said, once this class graduates, we will still be down 41. And usually in August is when everybody puts their papers in. So in reality, we don't really know how many we're going to be vacant.
Yeah, we could have a surprise, right? So it's difficult. I do want to mention, and I would be remiss if I didn't,
So rural
that
biz
today
people are
is the
essentially
anniversary,
looking out of,
third anniversary for Manny
filing a complaint.
Amelia. And, you know, I hope that everybody continues to keep his family and his police family in prayers. And I know that I saw yesterday that the new recruit class was training with their Manny floats, and it's grateful that, you know, we've had support for that, but I don't want to forget him. And I think it's important that we mention that. So I appreciate all the effort that you've done trying to come forth with a balanced budget, including all of the
What the hell?
needs that you have. So that's all I have. Thank you.
How is that important for a budget
Council
review?
Bergman,
Thank you.
followed by Councilor Corio.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Through the chair, it may be to Mr. McGurthy or maybe to Chief Sassier, but I see on the budget on page
9%
39,
increase, folks.
there is
55 million
a,
to 60.
item from last year, problem bars overtime, I think $303,000, almost $304,000. And I don't know if that's a kind of a budgetary house cleaning, that it's somewhere else on the budget, but it looks like the corresponding recommended amount this year is non-existent. So I was wondering if somebody could explain to me the
Yeah, roll
the
biz. It's
difference
bothering me
from
too.
last year to this.
Chief?
Through the chair of the council, we
Keith's
changed the
extreme.
name. That's
I
now
do think that
Entertainment
it's
District instead of Problem Bars. And I believe it's 111.
the police department logo.
And
I really
would,
do. And I think
okay,
someone
that-
told her to
that
cover
certainly
it up.
explains that. And the other question I have is,
We'll see.
I have to believe
as
that.
far as the
Somebody needs to figure it out.
watercraft, I know we've had discussions in the past regarding challenges we've had at Indian Lake and
Oh,
we share some
watercraft.
responsibility at Lake Ave.
Watercraft?
But I guess my
He
question
just
is,
said watercraft, didn't he?
through the chair,
I'm like 5 seconds
to
behind.
Chief Sassier, has that been somewhat mitigated by the fact that there's less watercraft due
Dang,
to
I
some of the
thought about
bans
putting this on, but I was like,
including
no way anyone's
Indian
going to
Lake?
bring that up.
Acting Chief Sassier.
Through the chair of the council,
Jet
so
skis
loud.
forever.
we actually budgeted for 312 hours total overtime, or $20,000 to cover the waterways for the summer, just being proactive. We don't want to wait, have something happen, and then start up again. So
What, Joe's not here?
we started out there on Memorial Weekend.
And last question on that topic, through the vice chair to the Chief Sassier, is how many watercraft do we have? I mean, it was always kind of a mystery to me. We had one that didn't work. We had another one, I think that was donated. And would say mystery, but I'm just not sure where we're at. So if that could be clarified.
Through the chair of the council, we have
Yeah, how many police boats
two,
do we have?
one being a rib boat. It's kind of like a inflatable. It's actually a very nice patrol boat. That's what mostly the other police
These are
departments
so
use.
important
We
questions.
got that, I believe, last year. And then we have another boat that was donated, and the engine's
Oh,
kind of going bad on that, but it is usable right now.
It's a life
Thank you.
raft. And then the
Thank
donated
you,
one.
Counselor at Large Colorio.
Thank you. Through the chair to this, chief, I just have a couple follow-up questions to the ShotSpotter Connect. With our ShotSpotter system, what is the approximate percentage of the city that covers the ShotSpotter?
Through the chair of the council, we have 8 square miles covering the city.
And through the chair, what's the square miles of Worcester?
Donna just constantly
know?
looks bewildered.
Just curious.
36. Through the chair of the council, I believe it's between 35 and 45,
Okay.
38.
Okay, so my next question, I know you don't know the answer to this right now, so I'll ask it for in the form
What's
of
the
a
square
report.
miles of Worcester?
But I've heard through constituents in all parts of the city how they are very grateful that we have this system, and that they do feel that it is something that they wish was in their part of the city. So
Hello,
in a
Mocha.
report, I would love to see what the cost would be
Brian, I'll be back
to
in a
have
minute.
the ShotSpotter throughout the whole city. Thank you.
Counselor Carlson, District 2.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. First, I'd like to start off by saying to the chief and to the men and women in Worcester, thank you for all you do. I know that your job has not been easy it's never been easy, but especially over the last few years, it hasn't been easy. Just want to say that under your leadership, since you've become interim
Oh, we
chief,
got 2.
I like the idea of some of the changes that you've made to the neighborhood.
So let's cross out.
And
Thank you for
some
your
of those
service.
changes are like the root offices going to these neighborhoods.
And also a thankless job.
The feedback that I have from that is been extremely positive, because people now get to know who that root officer is and who's patrolling their neighborhood. So is that something that you plan on continuing permanently through the chair to the chief?
Through the chair of the council, yes, we're going to continue that.
Okay, that's great. The other thing that
This is not budget.
I know that the city has 8 square miles of ShotSpotter. I also just want to recognize that it took a long time for a couple of the neighborhoods that I represent to get ShotSpotter.
Wow, you're so
And
wonderful.
some
Are you
of
going to
those
continue to be
things
awesome?
that you were talking about earlier tonight, like what took place up in Green Hill Park over the last month. And as you are well aware of all the shots that were fired up in the Lincoln Street area, and it is absolutely
Hello.
traumatizing to the
Steve
families that
O'Donnell,
live
everybody.
there. It doesn't mean somebody needs to get shot, but if you're a family and you live in these neighborhoods.
Is this me? Hi, everybody.
ShotSpotter is a big deal. And I'll say it again, it's a big deal because the police, once they come, those families, there is a
Just not going to use a
comfort
coaster? Look
level
how nice
for
this table
them.
is.
And I, for one, as someone who represents a couple of these areas, that ShotSpotter has really been a lifesaver in many cases in those areas. I'm thankful for it, as well as the people who live in these areas. As you know, we just went through some trying times in the Lincoln Street area in terms of all of the gun violence. And if not for ShotSpotter, we wouldn't have been able to meet with the residents up there, the city manager, as well as yourself, and the mayor, and several other folks. But again, I think it's really important, and I, for one, am somebody who is very supportive of this, given the district that I represent. So I just want to be clear on that, and I'm thankful that we do have that. It does, through the chair to the chief, it does concern me the amount of men and women that were down in the police department. For us to, at this point, be down a little over 60 men and women, that's a lot in a city our size, because we have not changed the complement of this police department, even though this city has grown a tremendous amount, and even though this city has also added a ballpark and several new businesses, we have not added any new men and women to the police department. So when we say we're down by 60-something, I believe that we certainly could use more men and women in the police department. So through the chair to the chief, I wasn't clear on the second. I know that you said that you have one class coming out and you have a new class that you hope to fill. When was that?
Through the chair of the council, this class graduates June 21st. We then do background checks. Hopefully we can start that in February, and then 6 months from then, the class, if we put it on right in February, takes 6 months from then for a class to come out, then you have another 12 weeks of field training.
So we're really, through the chair to the chief, we're really talking a year away before we're at complemented, hopefully. And that is a hopefully, given that that class gets filled to the 44 that you talked about that you could.
Through the chair of the council, that's correct. The only issue with that is we do not know how many people are going to retire this year. We do not know in August. Some people keep it close to them, and I have no problem with that. I'm not going to ask somebody if they're going to retire or not. So that usually comes, we find out and the person's retired.
Well, it's certainly, as I said, it's a concern for us not to be up to full complement in the Worcester Police Department. So just wanted to share that. But again, I do want to reiterate, which I know is technically not in this budget, but I do want to say
Oh, you don't say.
that our Worcester Police Department, the building, needs some serious work done on that building. As I've said to the manager, and I've shared this, if that building was a public building, it probably, by the health department, would probably not meet the standards that the city of Worcester requires.
Oh, sure.
Again, I
No,
just
there was
want to be on record of that. I think that
You got to swallow that thing.
for folks from the disability
Somebody in the
community,
chat wanna
it's
confirm that we-
extremely hard for them to enter that
Just want
building.
to confirm that we looked at.
And secondly, as we know, the elevators in that building, I don't know what the number is, percentage of time that they work, but I know anytime I've been in that building, they're not working.
Oh, no. Cops have to take the.
And
Crazy.
the condition of mold
How many-
being
how
in
many,
that
yeah,
building,
stories in
it far surpasses.
Maybe even 5. That's crazy.
Like I said, if that was a public building, I'm not so sure that the doors would necessarily remain open without any work being done there. Again, just want to say how much I appreciate the men and women in the Worcester Police Department. Thank you for all you do. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you.
And why do you hate children?
Anyone else?
Why are you stealing money from children?
Counselor, District 4, Counselor Ojeda, Louis Ojeda.
Thank you, Vice
Good.
Chair. On page 39, it says field training program, 299,424. Can you just let me know what that is exactly? Like, what does that look like? And if that's like what type of training is it and who's doing the training?
Through the chair of the council, that's our training once the recruits get out of the academy. They
Yeah.
partnered with a training officer from the training division, and they work the day shift, first half shift, and that is 12 weeks. Everything, we just redid our policy on field officer training. So it's basically, it teaches them, besides the book stuff in the academy,
Nobody's complaining.
how to actually be a police officer. It's very important that they're instructed correctly. We do not want to have any bad habits formed. So the officers that are actually training them are handpicked so that they are taught correctly how to patrol out there, and they'll go through a litany of an arrest situation, operating under the influence situation. So they will have gone through every single thing they can practically encounter within that 12
How to
years.
not give the mayor a DUI.
All three of those things that
And then
cover
just
just about
training
everything.
overall.
How much of the
throughout
evidence
the
to
year,
keep?
or as,
You want to do about a third, you know?
for lack of better words.
Hello to get the
as they
drone
get
to
up in
avoid the
age.
nets.
Right,
Yeah.
right.
What type of trainings are there just to make sure they keep up on their
How to not tear your
Through the
rotator
chair of the council,
teenage.
this year we were able to get a $75,000 training budget. Previously, all our training money
How to get your dog to only bite the
were
wrong
from
people.
seized drug forfeiture.
Racist training for my dog.
And that's very unpredictable. A lot of times you don't receive that money for years, and you don't
Slap that
get, you
meat.
only, if you confiscated 10,000, you only get
I
5.
go with the back.
So that was our
Corn
training
pepper
funds. We
tied to
now
a stretcher
created this
first.
budget. And
Okay.
when officers want to go to a training, they put in a request. It goes to their commanding officer. And what we are doing now is if the commanding officer believes that that would benefit that officer, they're going to sign off and we're going to send them.
Okay, thank you. And then
To
as
jail?
far as
Is that what they're talking about?
trainings
Send them
on
to
your
jail?
end, with a lot of
Straight to jail.
probably a lot of feedback
Straight to
on
jail.
certain things like common themes or things that you see happen more often. Is that something, an area of focus that you have, where you want to make sure pretty much every officer in the department gets some type of special training, whether it be with mental health,
Do you focus
or
on the
dealing
things
with,
that
like,
happen more often?
community engagement?
What the hell kind of question is that? Do you
Please
focus
give
more
me
on
1
things that
second.
happen
I
more
have a
often?
Specific page on that.
No, you
I have a
don't.
specific page.
No, you
Go to the index.
Mental health. What is that again?
don't.
It's with an M.
One weird trick 40% of all cops know.
So officers during the year go through in-service training twice. And that not only includes firearms training, but we've also highlighted several of our DEI trainings. As part of our WPD policy 211, bias-free policing and profiling, that is reviewed by all officers on an annual basis. We also conducted procedural justice and legitimacy, cultural diversity training, 2021 implicit bias training. Officers receive racial intelligence training and engagement, right training,
Intelligence training.
cultural competency training,
They learn how to
receive
talk
training in
to
hate
guys.
crimes. We also do a biannual online ethics training course. And we just signed up, I believe, 3 or 4 months ago for another municipal police institute training where very experienced officers create a video, and that goes into our Power DMS system, and the officers have to watch that video. So it's more of a reoccurring video. Every month they go through something. It could be officer safety. I just watched one yesterday. I have to watch it as well. And it was on
Wow, that
wellness
sounds so
as far as suicide risk and things of that nature. So every month, something keeps coming around and it's recorded that they did it.
They make
which
their
is
most
very
boomer
important.
officers record videos
Councilor
that
Ojeda.
everyone else has to watch. God, that must be a
Thank you,
roast
yes.
fest.
And then I personally want to say
I would
thank you.
kill to
Admin,
see those
Councilor
videos.
Garcia,
Yeah.
And Lieutenant Murtha regarding, finding ways where we can build that community engagement. So I appreciate, some impact sounding a little earlier and being able to.
Can we see like the
build
reports?
those relationships.
You know what I mean? Like the end of the
ground level
class papers.
to get a better
It's like,
understanding
what's
of
going to
going on
stop
in
some
police
savvy guy to
officers,
make a
really
class that
target
sounds really good and it's really just a
lastly,
reason to go hang out in a
repeat
hotel room?
it says Other equipment leases.
When you're selling the drugs that you confiscate, you want to use
An idea of what
the
that is the year
warehouses over
before.
by Vincent's. That's the best
Through the
place
chair, that
to
relates
sell
to
the
the
drugs.
temporary chiller that's
confiscate,
being used right now to provide.
And all the other
air
cops know where to
into the
find you if
building.
you go there.
Under the
Just,
DPS
flash your lights
capital
twice.
request, there is a
drive
more
over to you.
permanent solution that's being
Yeah, that's the
funded,
training.
but for now, it's on a temporary chiller.
Okay, thank you.
Sometimes it's good to use the butt end of the nightstick,
At large,
Yep.
Councilor Morris Bergman.
a couple of these, and then
Thank you,
one
Mr.
of
Chairman.
those.
Call me
Through
Morris
the-
Bergman.
Through the chair
Damn.
to
They're gonna
Jim
fucking
Chief
fight.
here. With respect to the concerns
Also,
about
kind of racial
retirement, I think we all
It's
share
not
those.
racial
I
sensitivity.
hope we all share those
It's racial
concerns.
competency.
So, yeah, how
I
competent are you at being?
kinda
That's a
racist?
black person.
recall some other cities
Nailed it.
have had, for lack of a other description, deferred retirement incentive plans. And the way they work is if somebody wants to retire and they stay on a little bit longer, there's some sort of financial incentive. And I'm wondering
Yeah, that's
if
right.
we've
man.
taken a look at that, because it
Oh,
seemed
okay.
to me that that
Let's
might
use
be an
DEI as an
easier
excuse to burn another $100,000
solution than
money on
budgeting for a new class which can't come
Yeah,
on.
they
And I'm
fight
not
these
suggesting
things
we
until
don't
they
do that
find
either.
an
Of course,
angle
we
in it.
should. But if it turns out that more people retire than anticipated and we can't get another class up and running, I'm wondering if it's worth taking a look at the best practices in other cities. I just took a quick look. I think Baltimore and New York have similar plans for both their police and fire
Those are two
departments.
model
If
police
there's
departments right there.
abundance of retirement, they offer financial incentives. And granted, not everybody.
Those two really
wanna
set a
stay
certain
just 'cause
bar,
there's a
if you
little
know
bit
what I
more
mean.
money.
They make a lot of
But
TV
some
shows. They
people
must be
might. So I
good.
just throw that out there as
All
perhaps a
I
suggestion
know
to
is
look at.
all the TV shows I've
Acting
seen about
Chief
New York
Justice, yeah.
and Baltimore police officers.
Through the chair to council,
Top
that's
notch.
correct. A lot of departments are actually
Oh, must be just watching The Wire now.
doing incentives to recruit, and they're also doing it on the other end. I can tell you, I came on in 94. There were 2 classes in 94, and there were 50 in each class. So I will be finishing my 30th year. And there's a lot of officers, once they hit 32 years, they will retire because they actually lose money because you don't pay the state tax and then the retirement and everything. So that's where we have to keep a critical eye out on where this is going, and whatever works. If we can keep people on, it would be a great thing. I can't unilaterally make that decision, but it would help.
District 3, Councilor George Russell.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Fuck yeah, let's
Uh,
go, George.
Mr. Chairman, through you to the
What is
police
this gonna
department,
be?
and specifically the chief.
The
of
issue
course.
understander.
In the last year
He
or
always
so,
knows. He always
nothing but
knows what he
compliments
means.
for your department, as far as I'm concerned. From my perspective as a district counselor, the amount of outreach to neighborhoods, the amount of responsiveness for using the captain system that you put in place in the last couple of years has been very, very well. It's worked very well in the neighborhoods. We've had some serious issues dealing with, problem individuals and related to problem properties. We've had a lot of different specific interactions that your department has been represented well by the people that have interacted with me and interacted with the people in the district.
And so George has gotten arrested or what?
That aside, one of those groups of that are interacted on a regular basis is
Yeah, I had an interaction with the police one
dealing
time.
with Lakewood Sigerman, and Councilor Bergman had related, asked some questions about that, and you had talked a little bit about the equipment and the boats.
Where are we
Can't
with
believe we're talking
requests?
about
Have there
this on
been
it.
requests made? Because my concern is the district councilor for the lower end of the lake, we start, Bigelow Way or Hamilton Street, whatever you want to call it, and work your way down toward Route 20 and into Westboro Street area where we have Flint Pond. And it's a big issue with access to Flint Pond. Captain Early and his team have been very helpful and very responsive, but I know that they need some equipment as far as watercraft to get there, and I know they got some limited equipment that they're using now, and then also the
What's a
boathouse.
friggin' watercraft?
Why are they all talking about goddamn boats?
Because it's summer, boys. They want to go for a ride.
Jet
Has there
skis,
been
baby.
any request for
When people are doing
more
crimes in
watercraft
boats,
or,
they eventually have to come back
actually
to
for
land.
repairs or
Just
reconstruction of the boathouse?
Just wait for him to get
How
back
soon
on the
is that?
land. No one stays in the water forever.
Through the chair of the council, that did cross my desk. I did not agree with it. I don't believe we need to have a boathouse. And the boat that we do have, I believe it's
Amber,
20 feet. It's very
Why would you think
trailable.
that a class
And
or
as far as
science
watercraft,
would have any
there was a request for a
any
jet ski.
effect
I
on
don't believe
how
that's
they
a
police
practical application in police
That's
work.
something they say.
Yeah,
You're
Police,
gonna
hey
be
man,
wet
policing
all the
is
time,
vibes based.
and
Okay?
I think
That is how we
it's just
do
not a
things,
good idea.
especially in this
So I
city.
shut that down.
It feels
So,
like crime
through
would be
you, Mr.
prevented
Chairman, to the
by
chief. So what
night
what
sticking
an
everybody in the head.
alternative
Then guess
to a
what?
jet
The budget
ski
for night
would
sticks
be
is
able
going
to
to
use
explode.
to access Flint Pond? Because that's the problem. Is that there are and the
George
officers, at
Russell,
least on
you're
the
talking
Worcester
about
side,
Flint
can't
Pond.
get in there. I think it should be
Something I definitely knew
officers
existed
that cooperate
before
through
this
the Lakewood
conversation.
Situate Commission also
Illustrious
have
Flint Pond.
difficulty
Definitely
getting in
knew
there.
about Flint
Acting
Pond.
Chief Saucer.
Through the chair of the council, they're also working with the environmental police. I think they would have a lot more resources to come up with a way to get in there. Another thing is education. They have to put those vehicles in at some
Did he
point
say what's going
within the
wrong
waterway.
in Flint Pond?
They're not just
What is the need?
ending up on the
They're
island.
trying to
So
arrest the lake.
what we're doing
Yeah,
is
the
down at
guys
the
go
other
up there,
side
pictures in the Miracle
towards
Lake,
Council
and they're taking all the
Carlson's
bass that I usually
area.
catch.
We're trying to be out there early. What they do is they take jet skis and they basically throw them over the ledge into the water, and that's how they're getting in there.
Cool. It's
Um,
cool, actually.
Yes.
So our plan is
Rad.
to get it
If you
early
do that,
when they're
you
just
deserve
getting in
to
there.
be wherever you want.
Yeah, literally.
Again, to have a cop on a jet ski is not practical.
Do we have any equipment now that we'll get in there? You had mentioned a boat that was like a rubberized kind of boat. Does
George
that make
Russell's
it
a
in there?
smallmouth
Through you, Mr.
bass.
Chairman?
Through the chair of the council, that's negative. The best bet would be the small Boston whaler, which I think is a
We have a
16 or an
police
18
kayak.
foot boat. But again,
Dude,
they
kayak
have to
clubs,
put
so
their
much more
boats in
degrading than bike
and the
clubs.
jet skis in
You know
within
what?
a ramp
Let's
or
buy a
an area
swan
where they
boat
can get
from
to.
Boston.
I think the best bet is to
Incredible.
provide enforcement then
Paddle boat.
versus trying to
You have to put
get a jet
sunglasses
ski
on the
and
swan though
it's
to make it
off
look like
of that one spot.
Fast
And
sunk.
that's in Shrewsbury, I think. Isn't it, Chief, through you, Mr. Chairman?
the
The
pirates.
access
Lake.
is actually in Shrewsbury, so it's outside of our purview, isn't it? The way they come in?
Correct. That side of the island would be through Shrewsbury.
I cannot
Councilor Russell.
believe.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, the
talking
last
about
question is just to
goddamn
follow up
boats.
on the boathouse side. Is there,
I'd
is there
expect
an
that.
actual
Finger
boathouse
sheet's way
that's
up.
there now?
Should have been
It's
half
just in
boats.
disrepair? Could it be fixed up at all, or is it just?
Kimber,
has
they
it been
don't
taken down all the way?
care. The cops
haven't
don't
been
care
down
about
there
the kids. The
a
city
long time.
councilors don't care
It
about
used
the
to be-
kids.
when it-
They're
talking about
happy.
boathouse, of course, I don't
They're
think
happy to
about
take money
a
out of the
climate
school
structure.
budget
We're
and
talking
add it
about
into
like
the
a
police
carport
budget. That's
in the
how they
water,
want to do it.
Yeah.
Because not only do they
you know,
they
I
get
don't know,
like
and
like
what kind of
their
money
little
was it?
their
Was the,
credit from their
request made
cop
for the
friends.
boathouse? I thought it was basically.
Cops
like I
cops
said, a
vote.
carport.
Cops spend money.
Through the
Cops
chair of
lobby. Kids
council,
don't. And then on
The
top of that,
request
they
that
can
came
blame
across my desk
the
was for a
teacher,
boathouse with
you know?
classrooms
Anytime there's a
and
problem,
other
it's not a
things in
funding
it,
issue.
which
in
would have
public
been
schools. It's other
a
teachers.
lot of money,
problem.
and I don't believe it was feasible.
So
due to
it
budget
strategically
situation.
makes sense for them
Well,
to
I
walk
agree with
over
that. But
the
I
public
think
school
that
kids.
the conversation that I thought was there was more about just someplace to house the boat so that the officers were able to get on it and get to work quicker. That's all. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Councilor Russell.
Great question,
Councilor
George.
Haji, District 5. I'm sorry, Councilor Pasillo, District 1.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I have a question, and it might be for Mr. McGurthy. I know an aspect of the equity audit was
be an
enhancing wellness programs for the police. Is there anything in the budget for that, or is it just kind of mixed in?
Mr.
Thank you.
McGurthy.
What did she ask about?
Through the chair, there's nothing specific in the police budget related to that. The city's HR department has programs around wellness, none that are focused, solely on the police. Chief, if you want to add to that.
Through the chair of the council, we have a full-time stress officer. We also have a peer support team, which consists of
kidding me?
14 sworn and civilian
Stress
personnel.
officer.
That is
That includes 2 lieutenants,
That is
3
one of the most
sergeants,
paid
7 police
jobs I've
officers,
ever heard in my life.
and 2 civilians. One is a retired police officer, and one is a clergy member. And their whole premise is it's
Imagine if the
self-activating.
schools
When
had
a
a
call
stress
comes out
teacher.
that we believe is traumatizing, that
This
team
teacher
is then
specializes
activated.
in calming the
It's
other
run by a
teachers down.
lieutenant, And it's very beneficial in that.
That's my role on this show.
In certain circumstances
Everyone else
for
is be
coworkers so
freaking out
impacted by the
I
incident,
wasn't here. I'm a
the
calm.
team can actually put that person into contact through
Stress
proper
officer goes
channels
to work
to get
dressed
additional.
in like
help.
1960s San Francisco guru garb.
Thank you.
He's got a bunch of beads on. Some
Thank
sort
you,
of
Councilor
robe.
Toomey, if you could take the chair.
Can you get another look at Toomey's weird shirt?
I'm working on finding out what's going on with it.
Incredible.
I reached out to sources.
Somebody said Joe was there, but it doesn't look like he is. Or if he was, he's gone.
He's got to do a little poopy.
He probably had to go somewhere and wear really long shorts. Did you guys see those pictures of him on Facebook? Yeah.
I could ask if
Long
you-
shorts?
Wearing real long
Like
shorts.
Giuliani style long shorts. Hell
Just-
yeah.
yeah.
I didn't know we were playing musical books too.
Yeah.
Oh,
Oh, Kate.
Oh, whoa,
Kate,
Kate.
relax.
Chair King.
Thank you, Madam Chairwoman. Welcome back.
I
to
didn't know we were
budget.
playing musical books too.
I
Good
wanted
speech.
to begin kind of piggybacking off Councilor Pasillo. I certainly appreciate her bringing that up. I know that you mentioned stress officers and support folks, and I had requested by way of a order, I believe, some time ago, to determine if the city, if it was the department, if it was HR, if it was public health, or it was the intersection or
Bunch of
something.
Ziggy Long Boys for the
that we
crew.
Come up with a way to survey and or audit folks, or at least to open discussion.
One of the assistant
in a
chiefs and
way
showing him how the
that's,
taser works, using people in the
anonymous.
common.
Just to gather information on how law enforcement folks are doing and related staff. Madam Chairwoman,
What?
the mental health and the things that folks encounter in the city when working with the public and in the police department is a vast array of circumstances. And, I was really looking to see in this budget some money dedicated towards increased and enhanced mental health investment. When you think about officer wellness, staff wellness, administrative wellness, personnel wellness, we know that it impacts performance. It can impact career trajectories if there's a concern there. And in addition to
I'll
that,
sum it up for Christian.
it
Is
can
there money in the
enhance
budget
or
for
impede
social workers?
We know that it's a
That's
challenge
your
for
point.
some folks who are wearing our badge, particularly given the fact if, there's something that they're going through and navigating their way around or through may result in them having to be away from work, and or having to give up their status, as it were.
Right.
At that time in the department. So through the chair, I first wanted to ask if you could kind of explain if and when an officer needs to separate themselves for a period of time, FMLA, EPA, whatever it is, EAP, I mean,
You don't
sorry.
fucking
I
care.
don't know
No
what they
one
call it that
fucking
here.
care.
EAP is what they call it, the state. When that happens, what's that process like? Do they have to turn in their badge, have to turn in their firearm? What's the process that initiates that? Because my concern is that sort of stigma and that sort of process.
Prepare
would be
for
daunting
a year and a half of Christian King
folks who wear a
becoming
badge
more
through
and
the chair.
more
Through the chair of the council, again, we monitor everybody's calls as far as anything traumatizing. On top of that, we have that one stress officer with probably 45 years experience. His full-time job is to do that. He reports directly to me. If a situation arises, whether alcohol, drugs, or any other type of stress-related incident, and that person needs to seek outside help where they're actually living somewhere else, we take care of it through him and I. No one else knows in the department.
Are there instances where folks have to turn in their badge or their firearms? What would the reason for that be, through the chair?
Through the chair of the council, they're not turning in their badges.
Look who we got here, everybody.
Depending on the incident, and Mass state law, during certain incidents, people would have to turn in their firearms, and we would actually take the license. But for the most part,
Straight from the dean's
that's
list.
very rare. It has happened.
No, I don't think you're
But
meritless.
The stigma associated now
Waited all day for
with those type of crises, as far as in a law enforcement profession,
So
isn't
they're
the same as it was. So 32 years ago,
they're really
it was
sucking off
different.
the cops right now.
Nowadays, people come for help. We work with them as much as possible to make sure they receive that help. And we have, if you're out injured on duty
How would you
long-term
describe the way
due
there's
to a
like
mental health crisis,
Is this like a traditional blow bang, or is
that's
this like
not a problem.
Like a sugar
Thank
baby.
you. And the
Oh, what more do you need?
structure of I'm
Ask
going
him
to
about
just call it
drugs.
the wellness servicing or approach
You know, we
to
had
folks who wear our badge.
dirigible.
How long has
Police
that been in
systems.
place? Has there been any recent
Dirigible?
changes?
I don't know if it's a dirigible, but it's one of those.
I did meet the
rib
gentleman
or
when I
pusher
went
boat.
to the
I think a dirigible is a blimp.
Yeah, it's a blimp. You had me confused there for a second.
I was
that we
joking
did.
because it's inflatable, but I
The
think that they
gentleman,
were all called anything
but
inflatable.
this
I was wrong.
particular structure
I
that
have
we
no
currently
idea.
have servicing.
Yeah, so it's
the folks who
inflatable,
wear our
and they
badge,
can
how
bring it
long is that
anywhere
in
they want.
place? Has there been any recent changements or developments?
Like where there's
or
water,
enhancements?
they don't just like.
Not only where there's one, it's right in the
Through
middle of
chair
Park
of
Avenue.
Counselor, the person you met, John Mahan, he's been there for years. As far as the peer counseling, that started, I believe, right after
Bingo sheet way
Manny's
after.
death.
Okay.
And that is, it's called CISM,
Is anyone? How's everybody doing on their bingo sheet? Have they?
crisis
Not enough
intervention
stuff about boats or mental health.
system
yeah, we didn't-
management,
yeah.
and they have peer counseling with, it's actually, we work with the fire department, we
Yes.
work with EMS,
Okay.
and all those people come together, and they will actually do debriefings when there's a traumatic incident. So to answer your question, it's probably 3 years.
Okay, thank you. And the debriefing, is it mandatory or is it optional through the chair?
In our policies, there is a mandatory debriefing situations as if you were in a shooting, things like that. For the most part, it is not mandatory.
Thank you. I guess I'll make by way of a motion. I think it might
If we keep
be
doing this, I'll
helpful
get
at
a
some
couch in
point to
here
maybe
or something more
survey
comfortable than these
folks
stupid
who wear a
chairs.
badge and staff and
Yeah,
related
yeah.
folks,
Yeah.
just to determine if
Bunch of
if
beanbags
we're
would be
working
nice.
with someone who can develop
No,
a
it's
survey.
not a
like
casting
the
Inflatable.
couch.
gentleman you
Speaking of
referenced
A
dirigibles.
dirigible?
Maybe we get to more
come up
more
with some
dirigible.
sort of surveying and seeing if there's
I got a
ways
headset
that
and mic so I can move around.
that
Oh yeah, Bill used to do some. Yeah.
aspect of
Do you know what the
of
weight
policing and administration
requirements
can
for
be
this
enhanced.
floor is?
Madam
Like,
Chair,
can this
that'd be my
hold?
motion.
The floor?
Yeah.
I mean, I didn't check.
I wanted to
No.
ask a
Because I mean,
little
we
bit
could get one of those
about
inflatable hot tubs.
the
Yeah.
um,
Yeah.
Oh
All right, yeah. Next week we'll have a
Technology.
dirigible hot tub.
That's referenced
Warehouse
here.
Hub Street. Let's
Um,
go.
In the
Yeah, roll biz is the new spot.
equity audit, it indicates
Isn't it nice?
that there's a lack of collection of data. This here
Way down here,
talks
I,
about safety records management.
right in
I don't know
Nicole
if they're
Apostol
linked or
at a red
not.
light. I got the
You know,
sweetest
there's
thumbs up.
Oh,
concerns
nice.
about,
Yeah.
Really made me feel
how,
good about being a corny old man on a
Black and Latino
motorcycle.
youth are police in that equity report, amongst
really-
other concerns. But on page 35, it indicates that the initial
I like we have all
phases
summer to do a hot tub stream
of new
outdoors.
public safety
It's a little
records
safer,
management system, RMS.
If you want to try it, I'm in.
Do it up here.
is proposed.
There at the end, we're
Hot
gonna
tub
pop it.
stream with
It-
a
there's
very
a
elaborate boom.
Process underway, I guess, for a different system with a
As long
different
as we can
funding
borrow the
source. I
cops'
wonder if you
vote
could
so I can
speak to that
away from the crime.
to the chair.
We'll do like the all the dating shows do
Through
now.
the chair of the
Where they wear
council,
the mics
that's
on a
correct.
necklace.
There's
Oh,
a
yeah, yeah,
ongoing contract negotiation right now with a company called, I believe it's Hexagon, to get us a police management record system, which will be able to disaggregate information.
Friggin'
Right
Oh,
now, everything has to be done
Company name
manually.
right there.
Our system's currently 30 years old. When I got on is when it started.
Our disciplinary
and
records are
end of
managed
life
by
was 2 years ago.
Hexagon.
So that system's
Ooh,
hanging
right
on. There's a
into
couple
Flint
people
Pond would be a fun stream.
monitoring it.
Hexagon
There's
division of
nothing new
Skynet.
that we can add. They're there just to keep it running.
Of course,
Those
on jet skis,
outside,
we throw the
outside
ball.
vendors that once
Yeah. Yeah.
was part of
That was
that
something you
company.
missed, Brendan.
Counselor?
George Russell real
to the
mad about
administration,
people sneaking
I'm not sure
jet skis
whom,
onto
but
Flint
I'm
Pond.
sure IT is
I have
working
no idea if Flint
with the
Pond
law
is-
department. I mean, sorry, with the law department, with the law enforcement
Is
on
it-
this issue. Is that right? And
Cops said that people
what
throw
reports
their
do you
jet
have from them
skis
relative
over
to
Flint Pond is
how
is
long
the
it's gonna
pond
take to
that
us to
Buster Rhymes Island is in.
accurately and effectively
And it's barely
gather
Buster
data.
Oh, the one that's the
Through
far
the
end of Lake Quincy.
Mr.
Yeah.
Manager?
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Through the chair to the counselor, the IT department do it. They are working with them heavily because this program not only impacts police department, it will also impact emergency communications and the fire department. It's all public safety personnel that's involved with record
We should
management.
put in
systems.
a request for one of
Um,
those claws that comes
based
from
on
the toy graph game.
estimated,
Attach it to the
timeline
dirigible,
of what
just
the
fly it
company
over and
has stated
snatch the
is
jet
once
skis right out of
contract
Flint
is
Pond.
signed
Do a
and
Lakitu
delivered,
and when they
approximately
do Mario
about
Kart.
18
Fly them right over to
turnaround of implementation
Yeah, solid
of
reference.
fly them right over to Kate Toomey's
they
pool
have
that
to,
isn't
again,
on the
go
assessor's.
through data acquisition,
I have been
build the business
chosen.
processes, et cetera, to then be able to deliver that. But that's something that multiple departments are working very closely with the department. Again, the
Yeah.
data is available.
We can just
It's
throw our
just a
phones.
manual process that requires a lot of hours.
Brendan has
for
the
the police
GoPro.
department or
And
any
make it
other
turn into a real
department to put
sex
together
quick.
to
Underwater
acquire the
shots.
data.
That's what I'm saying.
We
Yeah.
had to do that as part of the
We could stream to
some
Feedly, we could
investigations that
stream
happen in
to
the city or
Twitch,
even
and we can
sometimes
officially
public
stream to
records
X.
requests.
Yeah.
It requires
Yeah.
us to
It's
put
gonna be
those
great.
We're
hours
gonna
in.
make so many
The data is
dollars.
available. It's just a very heavy manual process.
You know, changing nothing.
But this,
We just
this
wore
new
some
system,
diapers.
the data will become easily available.
We could
more
make
What do you
this
mean
show
if?
part of the-
Thank you, Mr. Manager.
Thank you. Appreciate that.
Ryan, there are
Right.
bathrooms here.
Ah, stay on camera the whole time.
Just wanted
Stay on
to-
camera.
you know, there's
Professional.
A lot of items
Like
here
the
in
astronaut
this
lady.
Yeah.
Diversity audit, that's important, and as it relates to
Man.
this particular budget.
I miss that
Whoa.
lady. I wonder how
someone
she's
can
doing.
speak to,
I hope she got into like high speed racing
you know,
or like
I hope,
a
I hope
Gumball
she found
5000.
I hope she, yeah, I hope she found a nice
outside of
partner.
the technology piece to any
Rollbit
money
says they have a
Whoa.
360 camera they would donate to
to
us.
achieve some of the
Whoa.
recommendations.
Only if you come hang with
What
us,
I would just
Rollbiz.
ask you,
That
Chair,
would
to
be
look
so
to,
sick.
our law enforcement folks.
Hi, what's up, everybody? We're live streaming from Flint
just
Pond.
so
You
you
can
guys
see
can
how
keep-
long it takes us to get arrested for driving around this jet ski.
I believe that you were
Ready?
part of the equity audit. And so if you just confirm that and then just kind of speak to any budgetary.
This stream is
items
sponsored by the
that
Mass
you
Bail Fund, which we will
that would-
need later.
to achieve some of the recommendations that you're looking to implement through the chair.
Chief?
Through the chair to the council, what we did, our DEI team reports directly to me. There's 2 full-time. We've created an operating budget for materials when they go to different recruiting functions of $7,500.
Just get it ready,
We also
Rollbiz. We're gonna need
incorporate 20 additional officers.
One way or another.
throughout the department that assist them.
Bill is on a
and
roll. He is a
We've
funny
spent approximately 25,000 in overtime. So these officers can actually be out there in the community,
The rest of us
going to these different
step it
events.
We're trying to be like
And
Bill.
that's for recruiting through the chair?
That's such a bad idea. Don't you?
Through the chair to council. That's correct.
Anybody
Councilman?
taking a confrontational
Thank you.
tone with Chief at
You
all?
know, there are 8
course.
core areas
No.
of concern in
No.
this equity audit: diversity and recruitment
No.
challenges,
Whole bunch of booty smooch.
internal equity and inclusivity, civil service.
people have
roles,
been,
officer
like,
wellness,
neutral,
training, community engagement,
but no one's
collaboration
been
with
even.
stakeholders.
Kate Toomey was
the
about how
trust
you'd
within
expect.
WPD
Yeah.
leadership. And some
He was
disproportionality.
tattooing a police logo on her arm as she spoke.
You know, I know that.
Oh,
we're gonna be
she does have a
having,
funny sticker on her shirt
ongoing
that we think is
discussions
covering a police.
regarding this. But I'm
It's
just
like a
wondering if
polo,
there's any
and
way
right
to
here is blacked
expedite
out,
the,
and it's like right where the police.
The
badge
left
would
chest.
be. Yeah.
It's like when
data
somebody wears a Red
gathering
Sox hat on a reality
through
show.
the chair's administration.
Yeah,
That's
yeah.
exactly what the vibes I'm getting.
Get to this.
Somebody in the clerk
Prior to
office,
a year and a half or 2 years from now.
that's going to get us in
You know,
trouble.
Two on the
in
nose.
meantime, you know, the numbers continue to change and the engagements continue to happen. Is there a way that
Booker, what did you
we're
think they were going to
changing
do?
the way we're
TPI
doing
training
things?
for free?
You know,
Off
while we're
hours?
trying
No,
to
you're
get
the
the
cops. They
technology,
get
or we
overtime
just
for everything.
simply
You show me where it says
steady
DEI
as
in the
relates
contract.
to gathering of information
That's a
related to
change of work.
stops and
You show me
uses
where
of
it says
force, et
DEI in the
cetera. We're
Constitution.
just continuing as
Oh, at the
status
beginning
quo
of it?
to the
Oh,
chair.
okay.
To just the
First
council,
sentence? Cool.
The data is available. The department has the data. The data, again, it requires manual input from
I
the
also just
department to
noticed that's an
extract the
awesome
data,
t-shirt, Brandon.
review the data, and put together the
Oh, look at that.
Oh,
Yeah,
yeah.
all
a lot
right.
of that data was provided
Didn't
to
even
the
notice that.
consultant. The consultant did not have
You
the
didn't even notice
capacity
me
to be able
standing
to
behind
go
you in the
through
hallway,
all
man.
of
You
the
had on a
data
swivel.
sets that were provided.
Very unaware.
And
This
it was
is
a lot,
tough for me being in a
of
room with
information.
other
Again,
people.
we're
You've
talking
gotten him
about
away from the window, so that's step one.
Yeah.
tons and tons of pages of reports that
Whole
require
series of windows now.
a team
You
to
don't
be able
tell
to go
people,
through
they
that.
better
can't
line
see
of
those.
sight.
Provided that again to some of the investigations like the DOJ, where they have the capacity and they have the data available to them. So the data is available. We have the data, and depending on the requests that people make, we make that available to them. I think it comes down to the capacity of the consultant group to be able to decipher and go through
I have
information
not,
to
Sally.
put
They're
together
still
their
wide
reports.
open.
So it's not about
Sally
the data
really
not
liked
being
my burger
available. We're not
boxes when she
collecting
was
the
That's old
information.
school, man.
Yeah.
We are collecting it.
Lots of knobs and
But
tubes.
the way to provide it, it requires a manual effort.
Keep
to
this
be
place
able to,
running with a roll of
to
quarters.
extract the information.
Thank you. And
You're gonna
through
need
the
those
chair,
when we
I
spill a
just
hot
wanna
tub
move
in here.
on to Shot Spotter and Shot Spotter.
Before
Mr.
you do
Van
that,
would
could we
just
just get
cover it.
confirmation and
$10.
ultimate, what percentage of that report is already,
As I understand it, it wouldn't be the
Over.
first time this place flooded.
isn't that,
That's surprising.
weren't a lot of the things in that report already completed?
Through the chair to the council, we are going through right now with city manager's office. Several of those recommendations were implemented when the report was already released, when it was just released. We've gone through a bunch of items and a good portion of them are done.
Thank you for that confirmation, Mr. Vice Chairman.
Confirmation of what?
A good
Thank you.
portion?
Jesus Christ.
Just going over to Shot
She
Spotter.
meant to
and
say
Shot
affirmation.
Spotter Connect.
Thank you
Can
for-
get into
thank
where
you
in
for
the
that
budget
affirmation.
the,
I am a real girl after
the
all.
amount of
Thank you for
monies
being nice to me.
that we're looking.
No
that
one
were
else ever has.
appropriated last year.
That question was like, did you do your homework?
And
Being
separately,
okay, thank
the
you for
amount of
confirming.
money that we've put out over the last
Hey, Chief
year,
Saucier, I wish
last
you would
fiscal year, what we're
shoot
anticipating
shot
for the coming fiscal
on
year
the spot
for Shot Spotter
right here.
Connect.
Mr.
Save it for the hot tub.
Through the chair to the council, last year it was labeled under security services.
Big up,
and that
Al.
was 572,877. This year it's under public safety software, and again it's 572,870.
57,000.
570,000. Read the
572,870.
fucking book.
And that is for both
Jesus
Shot
Christ.
Spotter and Resource Router.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just pulling up.
Well, they're playing hot potato with the book, so it's hard to read.
Yeah.
We could just
We're
give you
talking
$5
about $1
Bill so
million
you could
over
read
the
it for
last
him.
2 fiscal years.
I did read
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Can you speak to the data as relates to ShotSpotter? Connect. One of the things we were told is 2 separate entities. We were told that's predictive policing, and that would predict and reduce.
The one person that
If
you
you
could
could
try to
speak
ask the real
to
question.
what metrics you're using to measure prevention and reduction as relates to ShotSpotter Connect, as opposed of, the old way of using our crime analysis. Through the chair.
Through the chair to council, let me just briefly describe what it is. There is confusion out there. Resource Router, or formerly Connect, is actually a directed patrol plan that changes every day, every 8 hours. It's throughout the whole city, and it encompasses all Part 1 crimes. When we're talking about Part 1 crimes, as a deterrent effect, we're looking at gunfire, homicide, aggravated assault, robbery, burglary, motor vehicle theft, and
All the cool ones.
So it's
vehicle theft and
predictive
theft from the person.
policing.
So
is what you're
it does is
trying to describe.
it creates an area or a box that officers are required to go in twice a day.
Like a
And what
bot.
I did was have these officers, when they're in them, take 30 minutes of their patrol route and do an actual community engagement patrol on foot. So these areas are being delineated for foot patrols, and it's having the officers go.
How are they delineated?
Every single route structure in
Like
the
Pokemon Go, but
department
for
is
cops,
covered by it,
they have to go to
and it
different areas.
changes where the
Oh, there's an
officers
algorithm?
are every shift.
And a shiny
Which,
Charizard?
People, as far as prediction, it doesn't really predict. It takes 5 years of data that's based on calls from the public. It's not on police data. It's calls from the public. It also incorporates,
It doesn't really predict, but we
you
still.
can call it,
It doesn't predict. It uses data and makes an assumption.
the examples would be seasonality, time of the day, month, day of the week, holidays, upcoming events, whether
Upcoming.
if there's a liquor establishment. It takes all those
There's a liquor
factors together with
establishment.
that 5 year of historical data called in.
I love how the
police,
word
and it
seasonality
says,
has just entered
"This
like
may
normal
be a
people
good
talk.
time
When,
to be in
back
this
when I worked in
area
interactive
to
marketing,
act as a deterrent
the
effect
only time you ever heard the word
on
seasonality is
Part
when your
1
sales manager
crimes.
was trying to explain
So
why the
we
entire
actually have
quarter shit
officers
the bed.
marking footbeats in those
Yeah,
areas.
seasonality. It's like, okay,
Yeah.
that makes sense. I got it.
So
Yeah,
it
some are
sounds
bad
like
for
what you're
retail.
saying is there's no way, correct me if I'm wrong,
It's
just
just this happened in
clarify.
December. Yeah,
It takes
winters are
5
bad
years
for
to
retail.
measure efficacy.
Seasonality, man.
No, it doesn't
Is
take
that what you're
5 years
saying?
to measure
Through the chair?
efficacy.
Through a chair to council,
Ask
no,
them
I'm
how many
sorry.
arrests have,
It took 5 years to gather
how
that
many arrests
data
have happened?
to figure
at these
out where
community
those
patrols?
boxes would be created.
What were the
The
arrests?
way we measure the efficacy is through our
Yeah,
statistics.
he's Joe Petty 2.0,
So,
dog.
Right now, I have up to April.
What do you think
year
he's
to
going to be
date.
from now
And if we
on?
look at different
Got him.
criminal categories, police initiated has gone up
You see this dude at Biggie Bob
23%
winner.
since last year.
Where he's
All
going.
right, so you're talking 8,071 to 9,989. When you look at non-fatal shooting victims, last year at this time, we were at 17. This year, we're at 7. When we look at reported gunshots, we're down 27%. When we look at larceny from a motor vehicle, we're down 25%. Noise disturbances, 5%.
Larceny from a
The
motor
things
vehicle?
we are up on, we did go up in arrests.
Yeah, like when you steal from
We
a
did
car.
go up in on calls for service.
Grab a quarter out
Stabbings
of the
were
cup
down
holder so you can fix the
7.
breakers in your weirdo
Robbery,
fucking breaker box.
I was picturing that
6.67%.
they
So what we
subset like
do is we
these are
take
people that use
every
cars
month,
in their
I'll get a
robberies.
printout from
Oh,
You
January
know, when you
1
pop
to
the
the end of
dirigibles
that
on
month.
somebody's
And we look at those statistics, compare it to last year, and then we compare it to a 5-year average. And that's how we figure out whether or not our resources are going into the correct spot to enable to reduce crime.
You don't do that.
Okay.
The-
So just why don't you at least call them out on
Okay.
that is the definition of predictive policing.
I'm just missing the nexus, the connection. I understand that, for example, 17 shootings to this particular time, 7 shootings this year. I'm just trying to understand how the predictive policing is responsible for that reduction. Again, I
Is
understand.
this a budget question?
Yes, is my
Counselor?
question. Again,
Wait, how many
my
non-budget
understanding-
questions do you
I guess
have?
for the most part,
Candy literally spent like
the
5 minutes thanking them for
places
their
that
service.
we are policing in, or we're seeing activities occurring, or unlawful activities, or concerning activities,
It's a budget question because
are
it's in the budget.
places that we're
spend money.
familiar with, and they're the locations that we're familiar with. And I know we have, is it 4 crime analysis? So we have 3, and that they do some of that work. So I'm just trying to understand how the connection is being made about predicting policing and reduction of crime.
Chief?
You want to start
Through the
that
chair to the
comment?
council,
We're going to need it for the rest of our lives.
The way there's no way to capture a crime that wasn't committed. So the only way to do that is to look at reductions.
There's no way to
These
capture a crime that wasn't
Resource
committed.
router areas.
We're working on it, though.
Unfortunately,
Not yet.
change every
For
8
now.
hours.
Yeah.
If
Have you
you're
ever seen
thinking
most
that
of the
this
arrests
is
in the
heading
city?
towards
That is literally
a
capturing crimes
bias
that
in a certain area, it
that
is
weren't
not. It's
committed.
actually the exact
So
opposite.
yeah, basically, we
Because
figured out it's more
having the
efficient
officer
to
move.
just slap
If we
5
wanted to
to
go in with
6 minutes
50
on somebody as soon
officers
as
to a
they turn
certain
18.
area and arrest
No, they'll be
everybody,
committed.
that's a different
Yeah.
situation. What this is doing, it's
Wait,
moving
do
the
they keep the
officer
pre-cogs
throughout the
and
day,
bombs?
every shift
Is that why
to
we're
another
throw them right over
location,
the wall?
and it's
Oh,
citywide.
smart.
It's not just in one neighborhood. The whole city encompasses this program.
Thank you. So we can't measure crimes not committed. We're basing it on the overall crime statistics in terms of efficacy of ShotSpotter Connect. Moving on to ShotSpotter.
Brian, it sounds like we have them, but they're just C-months.
I remember the history of this and how this came to be. The monies over there by the trains over there, by Grafton Street and all that stuff. But my question is, we've had a number of items on this council related to ShotSpotter. And going back a couple of years ago, I know when we were looking at ShotSpotter Connect and what have you, spring of 2022, which is just last term, it was requested at that time by vote of the council that the police work with representatives from ShotSpotter to provide City Council with a New York University policing project study relative to the technology's usage. I bring that up because there's been questions
also
about
K2 wishes she could ask
the
for.
effectiveness. There's a number of
city over
cities
there.
She
that
keeps
have
putting in a
stopped
request,
using
but
the
nobody takes it
technology.
seriously.
I was just in Philadelphia last weekend and met with some folks because of what they feel is not effective usage. So my question is, where's the report regarding research in the technology for the committee? And I don't know if that's to the manager.
Can Google it.
The request is to the manager.
So much
to
research out there. If you just
Chief,
Google ShotSpotter.
can we get some?
You don't even
or
have to go
I guess,
past Fall
have
River.
you conducted
Yeah,
a
right.
broad review of research related to this product through the chair?
Sounds like a good job for you, Christian.
Chief, through the chair of the council, every year we go back, and again, the 2023 stats.
Yeah, I'm going to take the bold move and side with Kate on this one. Not a budget
So we
question.
had 116
Any other Tuesday night
confirmed
question?
scenes.
Yeah.
Of that, 70 involved in ShotSpotter activation. 41 did not involve
That's not
a
what
call to the police. There are 12 arrests and 8 guns seized. That's the kind of information we go after.
Notice how it didn't
as
say how
far
many
as
alerts there
knowing
were.
Repeat
whether-
the 41 number. What was
There were
that?
517
sorry?
You said
alerts.
41. What was that number
70
that did not?
41 times out of that 70, nobody telephoned the police to tell them there was a shooting or gunfire in the area, which is very important. We've had homicides.
My phone is that.
Where
That was his request.
we had a ShotSpotter alert, officers went to the scene, there was no victim. within minutes, victims show up at the hospital,
We're
basically
just
deceased.
getting reports that
We were able to
being
go
used
on
to
that scene, collect
babies.
ballistic evidence, collect
Honestly,
video
best use of the
evidence,
show.
and
I've ever
we
heard
were
of.
able to actually make arrests that would have never happened because we wouldn't have known where the crime scene was. If you don't have a beginning stage, you're not going to be able to investigate a crime. It's just common sense. And usually when this happens, you have nothing to go on. What we do now with the Crime Gun Intelligence Unit, they actually go out there, investigate every single one of these. As I was referring to earlier, the Green Hill Park thing. They went up there because of all this information, this intelligence they're gathering. They also go out and will put door knockers in the neighborhood on people's doors to let them know the police were here, there were gunshots in the area. Right now, we're trying to get it in a couple different languages. And what that does is
Sorry, we missed you.
allows people to know the police care. They're actually out there because people did hear that gunfire. And I can play her another one that it sounds like you're in the Middle East. You're here. And the police.
Please play that. I want to hear what.
need
I
to
want to
know
hear what it's
where that's
like the
coming
Middle
from
East.
in order to combat gun
Sounds like the
violence.
Hill.
Thank you. And, this is an important issue for me in terms of budget. So this is why I'm asking it. So please bear with me, Madam Chair. Just for clarification.
I just want to be fair to everybody here. We also have other departments waiting, so if you could move along. Thank you.
You kissed his ass for 5 minutes.
Jesus Christ.
You mentioned 41 times out of 70. Are you referencing the total amount of activations or?
Through the chair of the council, 116 confirmed.
Shooting
meaning
overall.
there was either
No, he's
shell
lying.
casing, video evidence. And again, a lot of times you're not going to find
Shot spotter was
this
activated
in the middle of the night.
517 times.
So we don't
Knows
call it
that,
confirmed,
he's lying.
but when officers actually hear what's going on, and you don't have to be a
Are we going to
gun
get the release
person
video?
to actually know, that's gunfire, right? You may not find anything, but it's still confirmed to us.
Do we know that's gunfire?
Although it's
Sounded like a
statistically
woodpecker.
not confirmed
kinda
because there was no evidence
Sounded like the
found.
torque on my drill was set
I
too
was
low.
going to say, it definitely sounded mechanical.
So
Does that sound like a
how
gunfire to
many total
everybody?
activations? And when you say, 116, is that 116 shots, 116 activations, or,
First half I put
if
on my
there's
eye.
multiple shots, is that counted as one? How are we calculating that? And what's the total number? There's 116 confirmed out of how many activations?
Funny when the banana makes Uzi sounds.
I believe it was 500 and something. The 116 is only confirmed, and that's a confirmed
shooting
crime scene,
overall.
meaning property damage or
70 that
the
had
evidence.
shot spotter involved. So it was-
Ballistics had to come in and the officers collect the evidence and turn it into the crime scene unit. So it's an actual crime scene itself versus 400 and whatever. There are activations, but it's not always confirmed because you're not going to find evidence all the time. If you're inside a vehicle and you shoot somebody, it's not going to be, you may not even get an alert
16% accurate.
because it depends on the triangulation of the muzzle. So it's again, it's not a 100%
70
science,
divided by 5.
but it is at least 90% correct. And if you
Oh,
can get to
bingo.
a crime scene and solve a murder because of it, I think it's a
Shot
worthwhile
spotter is
tool. And again,
95% correct.
Yeah.
one tool of many to help us conduct these investigations.
You got some lines going.
So out of the 500, you said about 100 or so confirmed.
70.
116 out of the 116.
Is anybody close on a bingo yet?
70 involved an
We
activation.
tell them there's a prize.
So 116 total in the city were confirmed gunfire.
Yeah, there's a prize.
Not
probably.
persons hit, gunfire.
There's going to be a
Out of
prize.
that, 70 was
great
within
prize.
the
The
8-mile radius.
You get to go in the hot tub.
Of that, 41 times
get
no
to
one called
play
the
the hot
police.
tub.
70 within the shot spotter radius.
517
41 times not
activations,
called.
70 confirmed shootings.
Correct.
Someone just say that out loud, please. So-
Madam Chair, I would just ask that the manager ensure that the order that was filed back on March 19th by myself, that was unanimously supported by the council, that we get a report from law enforcement regarding when police have responded to calls from ShotSpotter being activated both with and without community and neighbors reaching out. You know, I'm very much interested in that information, so would like to get that. One of the other things that we had talked about when this, you know, the ShotSpotter Connect dialogue happened was that we would get regular updates on this. And I know we've had a recent one, is that right, to the chair? We had a recent update on ShotSpotter and to council and then in committee. I would assume.
Through the chair of council, I'm not sure.
Okay, so I'd like to make sure we get that.
I believe those reports have been asked for in committee. Subcommittee.
Good.
I feel,
And just kind of winding
I'm
down on
filling a
this,
hot tub upstairs.
you know, I've done some research just recently in April. ACLU of Massachusetts had indicated that they did quite an extensive research, again, just in April, that 70% of the time that ShotSpotters has been activated, that they've gathered statistics, 70% of the time there was no gunfire.
Some pretty smooth operators in this city. Tell you what,
it's really in terms of responsiveness that you know, I think they said 90 seconds, maybe 90 seconds difference. Differential in terms of response with ShotSpotter versus on average versus someone calling it in. And it also indicated that yes, more ballistics are evidence, but the research also indicates that there is no meaningful public safety benefit, that ShotSpotter Connect does not provide or translate to any, this is a quote, meaningful public safety benefit. Again, there's a lack of any data supporting that it prevents future shootings. There's no evidence of reduction of gunshots, according to that research. And the reason I bring that up is, you know, I like both research. There's research that says ShotSpotter is A1 gold. Let's see it. But this research is right here in our home state, as recently as in
I would have shot this gun,
April.
but not now.
So my motion.
Actually, question before you do that is, was that report on Worcester itself?
Oh, we've
That's the data that I'm hearing.
It's like Worcester's special. Worcester's different than other places.
We asked the administration to work with the chief to analyze the data from ACLU Massachusetts, provide a report back to the council, Madam Chair.
This is the shitty part about ShotSpotter too. Is
again, I also wanted
is
to
the
just
argument
make you aware if you
against
weren't,
ShotSpotter.
that,
And there are plenty of
Senator
arguments.
Marketing,
You've
Senator
made
Warren.
This is the one
have
that, from a
recently
technological perspective, it just doesn't make any sense, and there's no data to support it.
efforts to ensure
When
that
you
the
bring that out,
Inspector General of
There's
Homeland
like
Security
because there's no data to support it. It's basically arguing like, what's the best
ShotSpotter.
form of
Are you
monitoring?
aware of that through the chair?
Right. Yeah,
Through
exactly.
the chair of the council, just one thing on that ACLU report. They also said that a pinata set off ShotSpotter. And then when the public record request was done and they got the police report, that never happened. So
I'd
you got to
love
watch out where you get
Yeah, if
your
we can
information.
add that to the report as well, any additional information.
so
Through the
pissed
chair, are you aware that
He's
Senator
so
Markey and Senator
mad
Warren
right now.
are leading efforts requesting the Inspector General of Homeland Security for these United States to investigate
You know,
ShotSpotter?
that didn't
Are you aware
happen.
of that?
Pinata thing.
Through the
I
chair
can
of the
deal with
council, I am.
fireworks. I
Okay.
can deal with
Are you aware that as part of those concerns,
Beat 'em
it
dead.
specifically speaks to potential civil rights violations for minority communities through the chair? You aware of that aspect of it?
Through the chair of the council, that's correct.
Okay.
And again, if I can elaborate,
Yes, please.
people who don't live in neighborhoods who hear gunshots can say anything they want. That testimony does nothing to me. It's the people who have to live in those areas that get getting shot at, that every night they're hearing gunshots. Those are the people that matter. Those are the people that go to the community meetings that I've never heard in the thousands of meetings I went to, not one person say, get rid of ShotSpotter. They all want it. That's the evidence, the ground truth on the floor that needs
Yeah,
to
but
be
that's
hashed
not
out.
data.
Right now in Chicago, individual
That's the
aldermen
thing, though, is like,
are
if
wanting
those
this
very
product
people
back
don't have
because it
access to
saves
data that doesn't
lives.
exist,
And
showing
right
that
now,
technology
they're
doesn't.
going against the
That's why
mayor,
I'm making the
trying to
equivalency like
redirect
religion,
that
right? Like
money so they get
we're
it back.
debating something that's
And that's
so based in faith,
in the
but
news
it's been
every
20
single
years now.
day that
Researchers have been
they know
asking
it
the
saves
ShotSpotter
lives in
folks
the
to open up their
neighborhood.
source code
And that's why they're
see what the
fighting
software's been
against the
doing, if
mayor
anything.
to get it back.
Vibes based on
Thank you.
Wrap it up.
It's really
It
it.
sounds like, based on your statement, that Chicago removed ShotSpotter. Is that what you're saying?
Through the chair of council, that was a Brandon Johnson, that was his platform he ran on. So he did remove it, but then he put it back for another 9 months
pretty up
because the
on
Democratic convention was in town.
facts about ShotSpotter.
Then they removed it again?
And that would be in
Wonder if
September.
somebody at the company.
Madam Chair.
There's a lot of editorializing going on.
I
from
had
the
a
chief. He
question
seems
as it relates to
hot
overtime.
under the
I would
collar.
I do
Is
this
this
with every
person next?
department.
Do we know?
With
that
the
it's-
overtime budget, Madam Chair.
Mr. Chair, Vice
With,
Chair.
yes.
Are we almost done?
I-
Because again, I've
Yeah,
had
no,
other
I'm
colleagues
almost done,
come up and
yes,
ask
I'm
about
almost done.
a
Thank
break.
you.
Thank you.
You want a break? We can come back if you like to recess. I don't have a problem with that.
Are you finished your?
No,
Thanks. So
we can
how
break.
how much
If you like
longer
to
do you have?
recess, if you like to recess, I'll have a
How
problem
much
with
longer
that.
do you have, Council?
A few more
Vice
minutes.
Chair.
A few more minutes.
All right. We'll do a
Through the
break.
chair to law enforcement.
Man, I love
As
this
relates
shit.
to overtime, and this
I
is
gotta
perhaps
tell
to
you.
the city manager as well. I'm not sure.
Yeah.
Are we able to
Oh no, he's asking
fill
about
all of the overtime requests
Time to
that
take
come
a
in?
poop break.
You have to stop. You have to
and
take a
if
break.
not, how do we
Okay, take a
determine
break.
how do
I'll finish when we come back. No, you have to
prioritize,
stop. We
or
have
is
to
it
take a break.
purely volunteer? Folks sign up for what they
The
will.
one that I wish that he would pull out,
How
which
does that
again,
work?
you don't have to go past
Through
Fall
the chair
River.
of
When they
council,
first threatened,
we're
to
talking
get
about
rid of
two different
ShotSpotter,
aspects of
I mean, this fits in the budget.
extra
ShotSpotter,
duty.
like,
One
begged
being
to stay
overtime
a contractee,
and the other coming
'cause they were
from
first in
details.
Massachusetts. They
Details
didn't
is
want to
not
risk losing
overtime. It
communities.
does not go
They
into
were
the
offering them the
officer's pension
technology for
system.
free.
That's
It's
a
like
private
it's like when you
fund.
try and cancel charter.
That
You're like, no,
itself, we are having trouble filling all the
Come
jobs
Oh,
because there's so many.
discount.
As far as overtime, if you get a call at
Why not bring
11:50
that up at
and
budget
you're
meeting?
scheduled
Like,
to be
maybe
off at
just
midnight,
leave a couple
Yeah.
hundred
it
thousand
may
dollars.
take you an hour and a half to go through your reports. You automatically
Stay
will
on
get
to
that.
the end. Okay. And related to details, this is to the administration. When it comes to details that on work that's completed by city staff,
So are
do
we.
we have an understanding of,
Got
what
him.
happens
Subscribe
when
and follow.
an officer is not able to make that detail? What are the next steps or options? And do you have an understanding of what that ratio looks like of unfilled details for city internal projects? Through the chair.
Through the chair of the council,
As
if a
it relates to the
detail,
budget?
Oh,
Yes.
Jesus Christ, shut up.
Yes.
through the
Okay.
chair of the council,
We'll come
if a
back around.
detail isn't
Budget
filled,
hearing,
All this
Madam
stuff
Chair.
relates to the budget.
Hearing, yes.
It's about what
if the
what
detail
we
isn't
should be
filled,
spending
we'll
money on.
keep putting it out there. And if it,
She convinced
it will
me.
just go unfilled.
Okay.
Fucking,
Um,
let's go back into hers.
okay.
Listen to how-
And to the chair, to the manager, is there any other options that we have for details for city, city projects that are
Like, do you
done
love yourself as much as I
internally
love
by
you?
city employees where there's no detail
Anyone ever told you how
available?
important you are?
Through the chair to the council, that's something right now that we would have to look into, because right now, the policy is that
When I
if
go
there is
home,
no detail
I watch
that's
SVU.
provided, sometimes the work
every
is
night.
provided, or sometimes the work is
I
canceled,
can't help but
depending on the
think about
situation.
Chief Sutton.
If it's an emergency situation, we gotta provide the work
Your dick.
immediately,
Please
whether it's
come
water
to
or sewer
Worcester
main break or
bring
et
your
cetera.
cars.
Didn't
But
Massachusetts
oftentimes,
pass provisions
those are the
for flaggers
priorities
like
that the
20 years
detail
ago?
office kind of
I
manages.
think flaggers at
So
like
if there
road
is a
work.
priority, they manage where they send that detail. It might not be a bank at that time that needs that priority, so they may be able to shift that detail. So it all depends on the scenario in which the detail is being requested.
Thank you, Madam Chair. I would like a report back on the
Joe's-
details of internal work done by city employees with details like, to look at, and perhaps it's the auditors, I don't know who it is, to look at how much money we're spending on that, how many are unfilled versus filled. I think that'll be helpful. There might be some savings that we can figure out over a course of time. Thank you, Madam Chair.
Thank you. So on those motions, roll call.
Through the chair, is this a motion to approve the motions for the reports or the actual line item budget?
She doesn't know.
First, there were motions on the floor. so-
Okay. Council Bergman?
Yes.
Council Calorio?
Do all these very
Yes.
important.
Council Haji? Council King?
Definitely go.
Councilmember Carlson? Council Nguyen?
Yes.
Council Ojeda?
Yes.
Council Pasillo?
Yes.
Council Russell?
Yes.
Madam Vice Chair Toomey?
Yes. Were there any other of my colleagues who wanted to ask a question? Not seeing any hands. We move to
Over some-
approve the budget.
What's the motion?
Move to approve the budget
For the police department.
for the police department.
To send it to council, correct? We approve it in council?
We approve the whole budget. Council will
Yeah.
approve in the department.
Okay. Just want to be clear, my motion is to send this to council. That's the motion.
My motion is to
Council
avoid the hell out of it.
Yes.
Council Calorio?
Yes.
Council Haji?
Yes.
Council King?
Yes.
Councilmember Carlson?
And a little bit
Council
harder,
Nguyen?
but we have a
Yes.
Council Ojeda?
Then you.
Yes.
Council Pasillo?
Yes.
Council Russell?
Did it tell us
Yes.
any questions?
Madam Vice
Yeah,
Chair?
didn't tell me,
No.
did we?
Yes.
We were, oh, well. whatever.
Motion for a break, Mr. Chairman.
Motion for a break.
Who didn't wear their diaper?
Chairman, motion for a break.
Thank you, officers. Yeah, just really quickly, we're waiting on one department who may be running a bit late. So if the mayor's not back by the time we're done eating, we will go out of order. Motion is to recess. All right? We need a roll call?
I'm sure since everybody,
call.
we have folks virtually, so roll call to recess.
What did we learn?
Council Bergman?
Yes.
Council Calorio?
Yes.
Council
I
Haji?
really should have put more
Council
on.
King?
Yes.
Ringo
Councilmember Carlson?
vote
Council Nguyen?
Yeah.
and
Yes.
Council Ojeda?
really did
Yes.
not-
Council Pasillo?
Yes.
Council Russell?
Yes.
And Council Toomey?
Yes.
Was there anything that came up that the police had requested that didn't make it into their budget? I know, but still, I'm going to ask.
No.
I'm going to pretend like I missed
A
something.
dirigible.
Yeah.
They wanted a dirigible.
The second dirigible.
But the cops got 9%.
Look at this zoom in. Oh yeah.
Wow, look at that. This is like the last
And
supper.
I'm proud to be an American.
If we were eating supper, this would be like, oh, I thought you were zoomed in on us. Why is it zooming in?
Oh, that's what I want to see.
Yeah.
It's on a camera.
Zoom in on that camera. Let's get a camera reception going.
All right.
Wow.
That was something else, huh?
That was something.
That was really special stuff.
Well, we learned that pinatas have been involved in exactly 0 felony shootings in the
You're
Commonwealth of
right, yeah.
Massachusetts.
Yeah, don't
Mhm.
bring up pinatas around Chief Paul Sauce.
Mhm.
He's gonna get angry.
He had a bad experience when he was 7.
Yep. What do we have? Brandon, this was before you, but Galaxy Brain Donna Calorio wants to expand ShotSpotter from 8 miles of coverage to all, however many square miles there are in Worcester. She asked the
What
police
was the
chief-
question she asked?
Yeah,
she
she also
asked the
asked that.
police chief. She went through the chair. How many square miles? How many square miles is the city?
If they expand ShotSpotter to the entire city, I'm going to have the entire police department on my front lawn 24/7. And for no other reason than like there's all year long. There's townies hunting and shooting up in like the woods between Worcester, Paxton, Holden.
Right.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's not me that's going to be firing off rounds. It's just, but
But you're
gonna
gonna put a pinata in your front yard.
I will dress as a pinata.
He loves Fortnite.
Yeah.
Kate Toomey trying to ask the only person who asked real questions to stop asking those questions. That was pretty cool.
This is not in the script.
Yeah. What did she? She like very, very flagrantly tried to cut him off.
Do you really think she wore her public safety her police department polo to the?
Oh yeah, I really do think so.
It sounds like it was sheriff's department.
Oh yes.
Oh, that would make sense. She comes right from work.
So still bad.
Okay,
Still bad.
Christian
optics.
King brought up the ACLU, Massachusetts report on how ShotSpotter isn't effective. Kate goes, was that report on Worcester itself? Which is just crazy. Because what do you think? What do you think? Worcester got like a different ShotSpotter than Boston?
Well, we have different guns.
We got the ghost guns here. Yeah, I don't know. That was really fucking pointless. But so is every budget review.
Bill, for the police department budget, does this only incorporate what city funds that pass through to the police department, or is it like wraparound funds for like grants coming in on the federal side or states?
Reading through it, it didn't make a distinction. There was no like revenue side
Okay,
of the budget.
so it's all just passed through in some capacity.
Yeah, right. I think that they might be getting more money than that, but that's the city money that's getting spent. You know, because there's no like section for like different pools of revenue. So
I'm just always curious
assumed,
how that actually looks, and I wish there was more transparency in the budget on that side because it's
right. With the schools, we have a lot of transparency on that. It's very
Right.
easy to find out what's coming from.
well,
the
they
city,
articulate it
what's coming
too, and
from
I think
state.
it's the city has made a point of pointing out that the $22 million shortfall is mostly state funding. We're still short for what we should be giving them foundation budget wise and whatnot. But
Right.
I feel strongly that a lot of this police budget is like HUD block grants and state dollars that are just incorporated into city monies that pass through. But like you were saying, I couldn't find anywhere where they're
It's not in
broken
the
out.
No, it's not in the document like that. I mean, they didn't even have like budget line items. Like it took me 3 hours to figure out which one was ShotSpotter.
Yeah.
Like I had to really go and do some back and forth, like creative researching with that.
Huh.
So it's a very untransparent budget. And it just seems crazy that no one's talking about how like the schools are getting cut, and that's a 9% increase for the cops. Like it's like a very, very big increase. And a lot of that has to do with the police union negotiating a new salary package or whatever.
For body cams. Is this the first year that's wrapped in? Is that specifically the
Oh
increase?
yeah, I didn't think about that. That would have probably been why they needed to renegotiate the contract. So yeah, it's yeah, we are losing teachers because we're paying cops to be held accountable.
To review their own footage.
And body
Yeah.
cameras don't even do that.
Nope.
They just dissuade people from filing complaints against the department.
And help the cops lie about what they saw.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. Yeah.
No. You have to lie better than that because as you'll see on the tape, they absolutely did not do that.
Yeah.
Oh, right. I'll change my story. Cool. Gotcha.
Yeah.
And you know what's wild, man, is like that's a great parallel to draw too with sort of the faith-based support of ShotSpotter. Body cams, everybody wanted them until specifically police realized first that sometimes this can incriminate us. That's not good. It's only a matter of time before somewhere in the country ShotSpotter picks up a police-involved shooting where the police are making a claim they shot defensively, and then you're able to acoustically identify that it was a round from the police department based on caliber that they fired first.
Like, we gotta get
Hand shot first. We need to get rid of ShotSpotter, and everyone will change their tune. It's a bummer that there's so little transparency in the data to allow reasonable people, especially ones that are familiar with how the technology works, to make real decisions on this stuff.
Yeah. It was very like having learned like the actual data painstakingly myself. It was very frustrating to hear only one city councilor actually ask about the data and then get lied to like really hard.
Yeah. And knowingly.
Really hard and knowingly, and just being like, okay. Yeah, okay.
I'd like to get a report on how you're lying to me.
Right. Yeah. Right. Exactly. Yeah. Can we get a report?
Your truthfulness.
Can we get a report on all this like readily available public research that you can just Google? And also, I'll give you some more space to lie to me more. Yeah. Yeah. The way that the chief, like King had to ask him like 3 or 4 times before Chief Saucier said that there were 500, and he didn't even say 517. He just said there were 500 something activations. And then he tried to lie with that 116 number, which is just crazy because it's 116 confirmed shootings in the city overall in 2023. It's very easy to understand. 116 confirmed shootings. Of those, 70 involved a ShotSpotter alert in some way.
Right.
So it's not even all of them, right? It's like a little bit more than half of them involved a ShotSpotter alert in some way. ShotSpotter was activated 517 times, meaning that 517 minus 70 is 400 something times where cops were dispatched because of ShotSpotter to somewhere where there was no shooting happening.
Right. In your research, have you been able to figure out whether or not the system scrubs that data when it comes to the predictive side of their software to ensure that they're not focusing? Like, how long does it take for them to clear an activation out of the system?
Right.
Is it
Nowhere near that sort of clarity with that? We know even less about how ShotSpotter Connect works.
Right.
The chief today said very little about it, and that's probably the most we've ever heard about it. That they only focus on part 1 crimes as a new detail.
Mhm.
But we've known about the community patrols for a while now. We just don't know where those go,
right?
Or why, or what happens once the cops are there. And that's the really important part. I wish somebody would ask them, like, how many non-shooting arrests have resulted from ShotSpotter activations? That's like data that they could do
Right.
if they wanted to like actually look at it. But if you're not a member of the police department and you don't have that sort of internal access, the amount of investigation and records requests and everything that it would take to pull that together is just like, you would need a whole team like really on that for
Right.
a long time.
I also would love to know how different those quote unquote boxes are from the areas that they already were patrolling before they got ShotSpotter Connect.
Right, because it synthesizes their data.
Right, exactly. So how much is anything changing, or is it just simply backing up their own already biased policing? Like,
Right. That's the big thing is that Connect, even more than ShotSpotter, has like, you can just hide behind like the technological efficiency.
Right.
And you can distance yourself from claims of biases, being like, no, it's how could we be biased? A computer made this decision. Computers aren't human; they don't have biases. But the information that the computers are working on are full of fucking.
It's
biases.
totally biased.
It's all it is all biased. That's all it is.
Really, it just makes them better at being biased.
And then how much too of it do they actually conform to? Because if ShotSpotter Connect told them to increase patrols on Salisbury Street, would they then ignore that as an outlier in the system?
Yeah,
you
they
know?
probably call customer support and be like, there's something wrong with us.
That's where the white people live.
Right, because there's nothing obligating them to send the cops where the box tells them to.
This is the part of the software that I'm actually really conflicted on, because you go back probably 15 years when we were at peak staffing in the police department and crime was really on like a heavy decline. You would still have like my neighbors, and I'm sure you had it in Burncoat too. Once summer rolled around, all the old white folks would start begging for foot patrols and whatnot. So their summer impact program would oftentimes involve beat cops walking around neighborhoods that, I mean, it's a good look if you're trying to recreate a Rockwell painting, but like there's zero. I remember walking around Cook's Pond by my house, and there was literally a cop in uniform walking around the pond. And I'm like, dude, no joke. And he was the coolest dude too, because I grabbed him like, what the hell are you doing here? I haven't seen a cop in these woods since I was 18 years old, running
And I
from
killed that
cops.
cop.
Yeah, running from cops in these woods. And he's like, man, they told us to get out of our cruisers. We got to walk around. I'm like, well, this is a beautiful place to go for a walk, but
Jesus.
That's so funny. So I picked the nicest, most desolate part of the city to
to
go
walk.
take a walk.
But I mean, it's also, I mean, I guess like from their perspective, it's a place where like teenagers go to like drink beer and smoke weed in the woods. So like maybe a place to, shoo people along or whatever.
I mean, I
but
guess, yeah, it's better than the alternative, which is like
leave them alone and enjoy their beautiful sunny day.
Yeah. I mean, bothering somebody else, that's just,
Yeah, and I
not
get that's
doing
why I'm
anything
saying I'm
illegal.
conflicted over it. I don't even know what the right approach is. Do you let the TRS-80 put together an algorithm for you as to where to send the police, or do you let them just pay attention to annoying constituents like the people Don is hearing from who want ShotSpotter in neighborhoods where they're going to be catching hunters from Holden?
Right.
Yeah, right.
But I don't know. Is that better? Is it better?
I don't know.
If you're going to do it, is it better to have complete coverage so that at least everyone gets fucked over by it, as opposed to, like historically marginalized communities in this city?
Right.
Like it's.
Well, the difference is that would probably be like $5 million as opposed
Well,
to
and then, but that's
500,000.
that's what it comes like. That's irrespective of the advocacy argument, not really, but like the morality argument. Irrespective of the morality argument, what it comes down to is the efficacy of it versus the cost.
Right.
And even that seems out of whack as far as like what we're talking about here.
Right,
Like
right.
we can have the moral argument, and obviously the moral argument, in my opinion, is like is enough to say like we probably shouldn't do this because same thing with the body camera. It's like you can make an argument for it, but the morality of the way that it's implemented is wrong. So, but that's again never going to be on the table as far as like an acceptable argument to make. So then when you get down to efficacy, none of these things are seemingly effective, and even if you wanted to make an argument that they are effective, we will never know because they will never open up the
Yeah.
books for us to actually see
Right.
whether or not they are
And also,
legitimately
we know
effective.
enough by now. It's just that they're actively obfuscating and lying
Right.
about what we actually know.
Right. And the people that have say in whether or not we accept that obfuscation have every reason to just say,
Let's keep it up.
cool.
Yeah, yeah.
Hell yeah.
Oh, it's 95% accurate? That
Yeah.
sounds great.
And again, this is money. This, it's a whatever. It's a like a minutia argument to have when we're talking about the budget of Worcester, Massachusetts. But especially right now, it is so much that every single dollar that goes to stupid things like this comes directly out of public schools. It is
Right.
literally coming out of public schools.
I mean, I went through and I did the math, and the amount of money that the Worcester Police is spending on ShotSpotter and body cams this year combined is like $40,000 off the amount that we're not paying the schools, like the required local contribution for municipal budgets to the schools. There's like a formula to decide what the acceptable level is, and Worcester is $1.14 million under that local contribution to the school district. Meanwhile, we're spending $1.18 million on ShotSpotter and body cameras combined.
Yeah.
Which is not like, it's a useful intellectual exercise. Doesn't like really mean anything, but like it just shows you like the cops get a lot of fucking money versus
And they get money for things that don't ultimately matter, that
Right.
don't do anything, that don't like help.
572,000 is like 5 teachers.
Right.
What is better for the city, 5 teachers or this thing that claims it here?
Or the ability to find a gunshot 1 out of every 6 times.
Right.
Our municipal pinata location device.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That is unusable on the 4th of July, Memorial Day,
Anywhere
and New
around
Year's
those
Eve.
days.
Yeah.
Yeah, you basically have to shut the thing off.
The first warm day of the year, like
This is like the law enforcement version of social media too, where it's like you go back again 20, 15 years ago, everyone's like, oh, this is going to be the greatest. It's going to change the world. It did. It ripped the fabric of society to shreds.
asunder. Yeah.
But they're just playing catch up, and they're not quite ready to acknowledge that the technology, that's not the way to go, man. Just back it off. I don't know. If you're going to be there, walk around a bit.
Right.
Yeah.
I thought it was going off of that. I thought, so when Christian asked Saucier, like, can you prove that predictive policing works in any way?
Yeah.
He like listed off a bunch of overall stats. And one of the stats he listed off I found was very interesting. So that police initiated interactions went up 26% over the year. And it's like, what is a police initiated interaction, right? Like this is the cops going out of their way to start something.
That is really interesting to think about too, Matt. Because I mean, he said it the same thing in a couple of different ways. The other way he approached it was when he mentioned that like those were the calls that there were no calls. Like they were reporting off of a trigger from ShotSpotter or being in an area because of their predictive system or whatnot. That I don't even know how to think about that. That if something happens in a neighborhood and nobody calls the police,
But the
that's
police show up
it's like
anyway.
the Schrodinger's cat of
Yeah.
policing. Like, did
And
this
he-
event even exist? If,
Right. And he
if
had
you weren't
some
there to observe it.
He had some story about how like, well, when the cops did show up because of ShotSpotter, then somebody called it in and said that they saw a vehicle leave and stuff like that. And I'm like, and first of all, that's one, even if you believe that, that's one data point. So whatever, like that doesn't mean anything. That's not justification for the whole thing. But also like maybe they saw the cops and were like, well, I guess we'll lie to them because we, for a million different reasons, or, like, well, maybe I guess it must have been a gunshot. I saw this car go that way.
Right, right.
Like,
yeah.
what does that
I saw
mean?
this car go get that way. Get the hell away from me.
Right? Yeah. They left.
Yeah.
They went to actually the other side of town, so you should go over there and get them.
I have an idea that you just gave me. Hear me out on this, Bill. I think I've got a middle ground on this one. So if they're doing hang tags when they have a incident that nobody called in, but they know happens, so they're going to put the hang tags on the doors, the door hangers.
Mm-hmm.
We're going to sell advertising space on the door hangers, primarily to leaf gutter cleaning companies and power washers. You know, but the city's not only going to sell the advertising space, but also get a 10% cut on any services that come from. You'll have a little discount code on there, so you can track where the calls came from. We do this
Finder's
citywide.
fee.
We could actually be padding the entire budget. At that point, it's like, okay, put your fucking speakers everywhere you want.
Do
You're
you know
recording
how
the-
much the gun parlor would pay for that basement?
Oh my God. Yeah.
Dear God.
They would
Yeah.
put their entire marketing budget.
Yeah.
Can you just get
Yeah.
us on the back of the ShotSpotter placards that they
Don't
put?
call 911. Call the gun parlor.
Yeah. Take matters into your own hands.
We are the good guy with the gun.
You too can be the good guy with the
Yeah.
gun.
Gun
If you
parlor.
hear
Shot. Chaser.
That's awesome.
Oh, there you go. That's like a movie like Twister, but we just go around the city finding shot spotter activations.
And we send up a little thing, and it sends a little Dorothy in the air.
A little
This could be great.
dirigible?
Yeah, a little dirigible in the air.
So
This could be great. This could be a great idea. We could really make some money for this city, and it'll all go to more police officers.
Yeah.
And they'll just keep firing fucking teachers.
Is there
Teachers don't have door
information-
hangers.
No.
Where are they going to sell advertising?
Their
Yeah.
cars?
Yeah.
Is there a report on asset forfeiture for the Worcester cops? Like how
Oh,
much they
boy.
bring in through
Ooh,
that?
It's a lot. But it's district attorney's office that handles
Yeah.
that.
Understood.
And there's been a lot of reporting. Actually, what's his fucking name? Joe Early just got cited personally in a Supreme Court dissent opinion
Mhm.
about asset forfeitures. There's like they were dealing with some legal minutia of asset forfeitures. It was a pretty uninteresting case, but in Justice Sotomayor's dissenting opinion, it was like one Massachusetts county has done this like the most garishly obvious time and refuses to give people's property back after decades and decades.
I mean, I know I've mentioned it on the show before, but like to the point where we were featured on last week tonight. Like John Oliver did a piece. I mean,
So that's where I got turned on to the idea.
our Zamboni. I mean, never mind dirigibles. Our fucking Zamboni was paid for from the DA's office via asset forfeiture.
Yeah.
It's wild.
And I can't get my knife back. They won't
My
give it.
soap isn't going to carve itself.
Yeah,
They
won't
sold
give
that
me
wholesale
butterfly.
price to a gas
Just
station.
be happy that it's taking
That's
space
out of
in a
Noria.
locker somewhere. There's,
You know what? I hope it ended up back at the Big E. That's all.
Yeah.
For humor. That's not what really happened. Shut up, everybody.
Oh man.
what's up next for
For budget? Oh, I don't even know. I don't know.
Are we interested in the rest of the budget?
Not really.
Because that was pretty brutal.
Yeah.
I mean, we're gonna hear about it again, the rest of it.
Yeah.
So we can.
the only other aspect of the budget other than education, public health, and public safety that I'm ever interested in is I think it's still DPW because that's where the line item for parking meters is. And I'm fascinated that every year since we've had parking meters, the budget line item for the cost of maintaining the parking meters is identical to the revenue taken in by the parking meters. And like
Wow.
those two line
who'da
items
thunk?
just prove that this is nothing more than an Excel spreadsheet that someone's trying to balance out. There's no rhyme or reason to any of this.
We got emergency communications in the city manager's office. Those aren't fun. There's nothing fun about those. Legislative offices. Like, what the fuck? They can talk about their own budget. Yeah. City auditor, retirement.
Now, the only interesting things to talk about are police and education.
Yeah.
Um.
It's the two biggest things in the budget.
Yeah. And when's education coming up?
Education was last week.
Right. We didn't even get it.
Yeah.
I forgot that we weren't
It's
around.
like they do their own budget reviews. It's kind of
Right.
pointless.
So, but they're going to talk about that as a much larger conversation when they actually get the budget to city council.
Yeah.
2 weeks.
Something like that.
Yeah. No meeting next week. And I think we're talking about
hot tubs,
doing maybe a hot tub stream.
Yeah.
Maybe playing some video games, maybe just having a call-in show,
Yeah, something like that.
We could do a little something fun.
Did anybody get bingo?
Yeah, did anybody get close? Who got the closest? Who got the most?
I
We got
kind of gave up on like following this.
I mean, we got 3, I think.
Yeah, oh no, we said that. We said this. Forecast crime, intelligence policing. KT, we did not say we, referring to the police
Shockingly.
department.
Although she did have to cover the law enforcement logo on her
Yeah.
shirt.
It was an implicit we.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah, no, I didn't get bingo.
Camber said she said our plan.
Oh, all right.
Oh,
cross it
all right, we'll
off.
count that. Yeah.
Cross it off.
Count
Yeah.
it.
If anybody got close to a bingo, let us know.
Yeah.
I think this is a worthwhile game to play every year for the budget review.
The bingo was not that hard to get together. I just Googled bingo generator. And there you go. I had a patriotic theme and everything. It's perfect. Yeah, totally.
It was it's good. Yeah, so I think we unless anybody has any questions or comments that they'd like us to discuss here down at Hunchback Studios.
Coming to you live from Hunchback
Studios.
in sunny Worcester, Massachusetts.
WHBG.
Oh,
that could be good.
I kind of dig that.
Yeah.
That's a nice ring.
Shit.
Oh man.
I got nothing.
Yeah, me neither.
Well then, Brendan, you got anything you want to leave us on?
Nope, I was late. I missed too much. I'm not going to repeat what was already said.
Nothing exciting happened before you got here.
No, my only thought is just then that the how depressing it is to see, regardless of if you think one should take priority or the other, because across the city, there are plenty of people who feel either way that that the city clearly has priorities when it comes to public safety over education.
Right.
And I think that the healthiest argument that you could make is that those two things should have a healthy working relationship, not be at odds with one another. But you could see from the public health budget hearing how inextricably linked they are in an unhealthy way, when the only concern that the counselors seem to have was summer programs. And it's like it really does seem like that this body views school as just a place to warehouse kids until they're old enough to be treated as adults from a legal perspective.
Right.
Yeah.
And you see that in the way that they were demanding that the city be paying for things to do during the summer. It's like, shit, man, if you just made those same investments from a healthy approach, not viewing children as
right.
small criminals that need to be warehoused, it's just gross.
They're
It's,
gateway criminals.
but I mean, that's just it. It's kind of the way like you would hear in like the 1800s, people describing children as small adults, and then we learned that
Yeah.
pediatrics is a thing. Like,
Yeah.
no, it's
Or the
just-
way people described the Irish back then too, like something to be managed
Let's
until they
seen
were
and not
useful.
heard.
Yeah.
Brian, let's be clear. We were fucking assholes.
Oh,
yeah.
Have you ever
Yeah.
complained that they named the drunk transport vehicle after our people? No, we earned it. But no, it's fucking gross.
Oh
It's-
shit. I
Yeah.
never put that together.
Oh yeah.
We own it.
Yeah. You never been in one, so
This is true.
yeah, no, I completely agree that the priorities obviously are fucked.
Yeah.
But the vibes are fucked too, man. I keep saying, I'm gonna keep hammering that. This is all vibes based. This is all perception based. None of it's based in reality. None of it is about improving outcomes or anything like that. This is about caring about the feelings of the police union more than you care about taking care of kids. And that is a problem that extends to the entire city. That is not a conversation that even parents of public school children are willing to have. They'll have discussions about which school they're allowed to send their kid to, or whether or not they're going to pull them out for private schools. But the conversation is always public schools are fucked and they're always going to be fucked.
Right.
And it's so much just a choice. It is not inherent to the system. It is not unsolvable. It's the opposite of policing in that the more money you throw at it will actually help. Like you can throw money at the problem of public schools and it will help. And they'd much rather throw money at policing that all the money in the world is not going to help if we don't have other systems in place that are actually helping people.
Well-
and the easiest one to do is fucking public schools.
Counterpoint. If you don't have criminals, how are you going to recruit for the military? How are you going to keep the fucking cops paid? How are you going to justify their existence?
Right.
You
Right.
need steady.
Right.
You need a steady crop of criminals.
You-
You need a steady
know what
place
we-
to pull criminals from.
You know what we
That's
need?
the real genius of ShotSpot.
We need a child lobby.
Right.
We need a billionaire. We need a billionaire child angel investor that is an activist billionaire child to start a child lobby. And like what we used to have, kids used to go on crusades, man. They used to fight for their rights. And now we need kids to step up and start lobbying, because if the politicians aren't afraid of losing child dollars, then they're never gonna side with kids over cops. That's what it is.
Right.
So
The child lobby.
we need a child lobby.
So what
I
you're
mean,
saying is
there's
this
a-
is actually an influencer problem. They have their efforts focused in the wrong place.
Correct.
Look at all the influencers doing
Get
hot government takes on Twitter.
Get off Roblox, kids, and get on.
Stop recreating 9/11 on Lego Fortnite. It just,
Leave that to us. We got that. Okay,
Just-
we got it.
just do, just do something like that.
Yeah.
Right.
Just
lobby. Right.
start lobbying.
Start lobbying.
Start lobbying. Kids, start lobbying. And I think that's a great place to leave it for tonight.
Yeah, that's our message.
Thanks for having us, Travis. This is fantastic.
Yeah, we're definitely going to do this more.
Yeah. That's I don't want to hear any feedback at all. I don't care what anybody says.
When a take is perfect, you need no notes.
Yeah.
Right.
Corporations can't vote, kids can't vote, whatever. Politicians are afraid of losing their money. So kids need to start offering them money.
Citizens United Part 2.
Yes.
Kids are people.
Kids are people too.
Yeah,
Okay.
kids are
We're bringing back
too.
child labor so these kids can invest in the system.
We got it. They need money. Okay. And allowances are not cutting it.
And plus, like, factories are a lot safer now.
It's true. Yeah. All right, kid. Yeah. And you know what? If Irish people are having too many kids, then we should grind them up and eat them. I think.
Right. Yeah.
You
You
know.
should take away their fish, pigs, and cows and see how long they last on potatoes only.
Soylent Worcester.
Thank you everybody for joining in tonight for
Have a great night.
Our first stream from Hunchback Studios. We appreciate you guys. We love you so much. We'll be back next week. Well, no meeting next week, but we'll be back. In the meantime, make sure you're following billshana.substack.com, worcestersucks.email, at Worcester_sucks. Worcester sucks, and I love it. The most exciting publication to have ever existed. Bill, you got an anniversary coming up.
June 14th, Redemption Rock Brewery. We're having a little party. Christopher Barr's DJing, and it's going to be fun. And also on June 12th, there's a ribbon cutting at Rewind at 6 p.m.
I really think I would have those flyers.
Wednesday and Friday. Yeah, considering that your company made them.
You'd think they'd be on the computer that you're clicking around on
No,
right
that's
now.
okay. Go
Yeah,
to
we'll
the, go to the
post
Worcester
them.
Sucks Instagram.
I
Go to
paid
another
somebody.
Instagram. Go to Instagram and find them.
You know what? Have we ever tried to convince Chris that he should change his DJ name to the Massachusetts Beats Fund?
Whoa.
Right?
I got to text him right
All
after.
right,
this.
we'll talk about that later. Make sure that you are subscribed here to this channel. Follow, subscribe, follow. We're over 450 followers now. Let's get to 500. Let's get the subscriber numbers up. I want to quit my job, everybody. I'm sick of it. I don't want to work a regular job anymore. I just want a hot tub Twitch with my friends. Okay.
Help
And
us
I'll-
get that dream.
I will do that. I will be in a hot tub all day. I'll prune right up.
Help Brian quit his job and get 3 kids employed in his place.
Please, thank you. Not in the hot tub. It won't be like that. It's not gonna be like that. That's not.
That's
They're
a
different
different
part of the
child.
company. They're gonna be
Different child lobby.
Yeah, they're gonna be fixing stuff on the other side of the building. It's fine. But I don't want to. Somebody, the neighbors next door to my set today walked on the set and tried to steal stuff from us while security was watching them. I'm just done. I don't want to work in this. I don't want to work anymore. I just want to play video games and talk to you guys. I'm done. So please, let's make us rich so we can do that. But also follow Wootney Comedy, because that's another avenue. And I'll hire a kid to do comedy. I don't care.
Kids are funny.
Yeah,
man.
kids are hilarious. They're always doing TikToks and stuff. So we got some great shows coming up. We have what do we have for flyers up? Do we have any flyer? We don't have any upcoming flyers right now. We did the Sort of Late Show the other night. That was really fun. We got hot dogs coming up. That's way later. That's
okay.
August. Andrew Mayer is coming to Worcester to run his one-man show before he heads to Edinburgh Fringe. So that's a really big deal. And Andrew is a very, very funny guy. We love him. And I'm really excited to do the show. That is going to be on June 21st. So follow at Wootney Comedy for more info on that. Travis, you got anything to plug?
Nah, just hanging out for now.
Hell yeah. Guys, we'll see you next Tuesday. We love you. Have a good night.
Doodles.
Hire the kids.
Bye-bye.